And we're live. Welcome to the chop. So, who do we have in the chat? Amateur Season, Dixie, Alethea, Kayo Kamada, Rikero Kiara, and Jack Hermansson. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the chop. That amateur show where sometimes you can hear me and sometimes you cannot. So, what are we going to do for this episode? We're going to discuss episode 10, make some more speculations about who's going home and who is going to win and why. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the new video that is coming out soon. Then we go to read the comments and answer some of your questions. If you want me to read any of your questions, just go with @toprpdr videos. It will be highlighted and I can easily see it while I go through. So, somebody asked in the chat last time where they can watch the whole streams. Well, if you want to torture yourself, you just go to the main page of the channel. At the bottom, I have a playlist with all the whole streams, or you can just go to the playlist tab and you can find all the old streams there. I put them there because I don't really want to clog the page of the channel videos with this tons of live streams. So, new episode. Did you like the episode? So and so. It had its high moments, it had its low. Overall, it was a very good episode, especially from the point of view of a fan, because it was a makeover, and it was a makeover about fans. Now, some had problems with the fact that it was all females, but let's not forget, 50% of the viewers are females, so give them some space, for God's sakes. So, right at the beginning of the episode, we immediately have some shady noises going on with Jackie. And I've received some comments about Jackie that she is getting the villain added for some reason. Now, I collected all the shady noises that she get. We're going to watch them in a minute. But before we go into that, let's keep in mind one thing. If you remember the stream that we made for, I think it was episode 7, or was it episode 8? Well, I cannot remember right now, but we talked about Jackie for 20 minutes, showing all the moments in which I believe that the production told her to stir the pot a little bit. And this happened in quite a few episodes. I think it was about 5th or 6th different episodes. If they wanted to make Jackie into a villain, they had all the opportunities. They never took these opportunities. So the fact that we are seeing these things happening right now, I don't think it has anything to do with any possible villain edit for Jackie. It's just stirring the pot a little bit. You know, in the end of this episode, she will end up in the bottom. So why not start dismissing her character a little bit more? So how many shady noises did she get? I think more than half a dozen. I don't know. Let's look.
Heidi and Crystal are on this trajectory. I've been on this trajectory.
I know where Milwaukee is.
Oh, you've got this. She's walking like her feet hurt. Jada chose a very pretty girl.
Heidi, have you still not come up with a name?
I'm doing. It's a really good time to be peaking in this competition.
Thank you.
I'm about to send Jackie back.
I'm feeling ready.
Well, she had her fair share, didn't she? But as I said before, I don't think they are going to try to make her into a villain. It's simply too late for that. They had 9 episodes before to really evolve this character as a villain, and they had golden opportunities. They never took them. Now, what is the point of all these shady noises? I believe that before Redacted got disqualified, Jackie was not supposed to reach the top 4. And that's why she has been put in the bottom so much. She has this shady noises going on this episode. And I think that they were simply trying to dismiss her a little bit during the last episodes of the season to justify the fact that she was not supposed to go to the top. But as we know, somebody got disqualified, and so there is an extra spot. I think it's what happened with Jackie. And I don't think that these noises were added during the editing that has been done due to the fact that Redacted was disqualified for one simple reason. We're not talking about reaction shots that can be put there in 1 minute. We're talking about audio mixed with video. So you have to manipulate the background noise. You have to find the microphone source for whoever is talking during the episode, that you have to mount it, and you have to do so much. So I think that what we are seeing here was the original cut of the show, and it was not added later, because as we've seen in another stream, when they did the Snatch game, they put in a ton of reaction shots of Jackie, all portraying her in a positive way, and that I think was the important thing, because in the same episode the reaction shots for Redacted went out, so they consciously decided to give Jackie more visibility for that episode. So this is what I think about it. We should not worry about her. I think she's staying, and I think she will be going on. But if she doesn't go on, her edit was actually not that bad at all. Compared to other queens like Guido or Britta or even Hayden, she had a good edit. She should not be, she should be happy with what she has. So we get into the episode. Ru comes in the workroom, and of course, for this season, for this episode, we don't have any advertisement. Did I say advertisement? I mean mini challenge. So we jump immediately from the introduction. You jump immediately to the main challenge. So we have a shot backstage where we have 6 women who are holding the contract that they are signing with World of Wonder for appearing during the episode. Now, what's in that contract? I think this is super funny, because they say, they are supposed to be in the audience, so probably there is jargon in that contract that basically specifies that they don't have an amount of time, So they basically told these poor women, hey, you're going to be in, we will give you, I don't know, $100, which is $40 after taxes, and you will have to stay here for 2 hours. And then they come in and then find out that they will have to work their ass for 2 days. I find that completely hilarious. Anyway, it's a makeover challenge. And when I hear makeover challenge, the first thing that I think is Heidi in the bottom. They've been reading her makeup for the whole season like there was no tomorrow. That's the first thing that I thought. Even though she got paired with a woman of color, so in a way it would have been somewhat easier for her to go with the makeup. That was what was going on in my mind. But still, in the back of my mind, I knew that they were going to read her to filth, and she was going to be in the bottom. So what do you know? What happened? She was in the bottom. Anyway, so the queens get paired up with the superfans, and Ru starts going around in the workroom. And you would think, oh, fantastic, we're going to see a lot of good advices from Ru. Instead, we get some advertisement for DragCon. It's incredible, because you have this moment, and you know that when they interviewed her, they had like a questionnaire saying, oh, are you a super fan? Do you go to DragCon? Are you subscribed to WoW Plus, and blah 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 and blah 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 and blah blah blah. So Ru starts and say, oh, hey Bethany, so you go to DragCon, don't you? And Bethany picks it up and starts talking and talking and talking about DragCon, how beautiful it is, how fantastic, how inviting, blah, 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 blah. And you have a moment in which I swear that Ru is climaxing. I actually edited it so that we got a good view on that. So let's watch.
I know that you go to DragCon, right?
Yes.
And you bring your daughters.
Yes.
Why is that? Because, you understand that's not something that all parents do.
It should be.
It should be.
Should be.
Why should it be?
It is a happy place. My oldest says, like, look at all these pretty princesses.
It's never enough. It's never enough advertisement, you know. It's never enough. I mean, in a way, I have to be honest. I admire the way that they do all this advertisement, all this pushing products with a straight face. It's admirable. I could never do that. I could never do something like that. So next up, Rue continues to move in, and she goes to Shay, the girl that was paired up with Gigi. And what happens here? And this was actually not really funny at all. So basically, she asks Shay what drag means to her. So she gives her an opportunity, you know, to open up and explain what the way she approaches to drag, even though it's historically part of a queer space and so on. And she gives her explanation. She started talking, and at some point, Rue goes completely overboard. And I think that this moment is worthy of the Fifi Award. So, what's the Fifi Award? Well, you know what's the Fifi Award.
Bullshit.
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 That's bullshit.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
That's a joke.
Every fucking time.
I was being realistic.
Realistic with bullshit. Girl, bullshit. You are a fucking liar.
So let's take a look at this moment, shall we?
Because of RuPaul's Drag Race has like made me be more comfortable with who I am.
I love hearing that because that's really what this is about. It's bringing people together and turning people on to what makes life so exciting.
So this is my disdain that comes from this moment, because she goes, I'm talking about Rue, I'm not talking about the fan. The fan is completely fine. She goes with, oh yes, Drag Race, it's what makes life so exciting. And I wonder, how much of a blank face do you have to say something like this? I'm sure Brita would completely agree that Drag Race is making her life very exciting, having to worry every time she goes to take the subway because some some idiots said that they want to push her down a train. So I'm pretty sure that this is what Rue meant when she said this is what makes life so exciting. Drag Race, you know, something that really comes from a place of love and blah, blah, blah. And all this bullshit when everybody knows that the show is not what it used to be anymore. It's all about money. It's all about polarizing audiences. And in the end, the queens are always the only one who pay the price for it. So to come out with a straight face and say such bullshit, it triggered me. This episode overall triggered me completely. And while I have patience and objectivity when it comes to the queens, because they really have nothing to do with all this editing and bullshit that is going around with this show. I have absolutely no patience for the judges, for the producers, for RuPaul, for World of Wonder, for whoever is behind this money machine that's built up upon people who get used and then trashed away like they were not even there, because next year a new batch of queen is coming up, and the show didn't used to be this. But it has become this. So I'm going to call them out on this. We have to call them out on this, because they will continue to do this kind of shit unless we all start collectively saying, listen, it's been too much. Show a little bit of respect to the people who are at the heart of your show. So this triggered me a lot. It's been really too much, which also explains what happens later. So basically, she goes around the room. They have this blah 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 blah. Then the queens go to the main stage. To how is it called? I have the word. I said the word in my mind is exercise. No, train with the super fans. They train. No, I don't get the word, but you know what I mean. So they do that. Then everybody goes to the hotel to sleep, and the day after is the day where they get to perform. So we go to the main stage, and we have a little bit of judging going on. So let's talk a little bit about this 5 couples that we have on screen, okay? I must begin with the fact that I agree with the bottom 2 that they had, but the whole thing going around it was complete foolery. So let's go with Jackie. Let's start with Jackie. I didn't like Jackie's outfits that much, but the things that I really didn't like was the makeup. This thing on the tear duct, no. I didn't really like it, and her beard is showing. But then again, nobody called her out on the beard. So when we were talking again about a possible villain edit for Jackie and blah, 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 and blah, blah, they didn't call her on that. They could have easily done it, but they didn't. So next up, we have Jada. I think Jada was absolutely amazing. I have a bias toward Jada. You know it. It's a positive bias. So there's not much that I can tell about it. But the makeup was fantastic. And the fact that she actually created these outfits, I think it's the real standout. I think she deserved to win this challenge. A case could have been made for somebody else too. But based on the sole fact that she actually created these outfits, I think that's incredible. And the makeup is flawless. And if you looked at RuPaul, in a way, it was almost as she was thinking, fuck, I have to get her instead of Raven to do my makeup. So I wouldn't be surprised if in future seasons we're going to see Jada's name, Jada's boy name in the credits at the end of the show. So let's keep an eye on that. Then we have Crystal. Now, I didn't get Crystal's thing that was going on. I didn't get it. But then again, I don't understand anything about fashion or having a taste or working the runway. I am the last person who should talk. It was interesting. I will give her this. It was interesting, and she had a massive amount of balls to come with this on the runway, because it's completely different than anybody else was doing. And she is lucky. She's lucky that the production took a liking on her, because this could have easily go south if they wanted to. If they wanted to. They could have easily misunderstood everything that she wanted to do with this makeover and simply put her in the bottom. So she didn't win. She didn't win. I would have liked her to win a challenge at some point, because Crystal is the only one who has never won a challenge yet, even though there were plenty of chances to giving her a win. But, you know, I'm satisfied with the fact that they didn't put her in the bottom, just because what she did was completely different from what everybody else did. Now, this is the point where I want to get. Gigi's. They praised Gigi for this thing that she did. Now, the makeup was absolutely flawless. For me, it's a 10 out of 10. She did an amazing job. The resemblance was incredible. The problem is the outfit. The outfit for me is a complete 0. What is that? What is that? It's a piece of fur with other pieces of fur of the opposite color. And it has no shape. It has nothing going on. What is that? I mean, I don't understand anything about fashion, but even with my minimal understanding, I look at this and say, this doesn't tell me anything at all. And I don't think she should have been in the bottom, because overall she did a good job. But the thing that's really bothering me is that they're going out of their way to make this look as if this was a fantastic job. And if you are not new to this show, you know that during a makeover challenge, a lot of people were put in the bottom, a lot of people were read to filth, and a lot of people went home for so much less than what happened here. But not only they didn't give her any kind of negative critique, they went the extra mile to make it look like she did a fantastic job. And she did a fantastic job in the makeup. The outfit, though, is...
This look is so mod and so chic and gorgeous.
I think this is an easy way for you to do it for both of you. Simple, but executed well.
It just all worked for you, Gigi. The idea of BB bad and Gigi good
So cute.
is so funny and so smart.
I feel, though, perhaps controversially, I didn't feel that wowed.
It was really simple.
Yeah.
It was, but it was also very, very chic.
Yes, but
Yeah.
this was a kind of easy way out fashion-wise.
You see, what really gets to my nerves is Ross saying, "Oh my God, it was so smart." Apparently, Ross never knew about the existence of opposite. Gigi good and I cannot remember the name. Bad. Oh, that is so smart. That is mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing. And you have to understand, I have no issues toward Gigi. But the problem is that every time I'm seeing Gigi on the show, now I get this wave of nausea. And I'm starting to connect the two things together. And it actually takes so much effort to separate them because she's just there. She has no control over the things that they tell her. It's the same with Aiden. I mean, I think Aiden was below average during her run on the show, but it's not her fault if they decided to keep her around and make her into this victim for the sake of storyline and as a way to provoke other queens and so on. It's not her fault. It's the production. It's the production behind it. But the problem is that they are destroying Gigi for me, which is not a queen that I am actually rooting for, but I don't dislike her either. You know, it's something that I like. She is good in what she does. She is pleasurable to see on television, and I am actually starting to not being able to see her on the screen anymore because they are pushing this thing so much. It's really getting too much, and it gets even worse when they move on to Heidi. Why is it so worse when they moved on to Heidi? Well, because you have to understand one thing. These queens had to prepare more than 20 outfits for this race. I didn't count them yet, but I'm pretty sure that we are over 200 whatever. We are over 2 dozens already. For a makeover challenge, they have to prepare not one outfit, not 2 outfits. They have to prepare 3 outfits. Because if you get a big girl, you have to have an outfit for her, which means that whatever you are preparing for the person that you are giving the makeover, you have to at least have 2 outfits, or at least have one kind of outfits that you can easily make it smaller or make it bigger. And Heidi said, "This was not even my outfit. I had to ask somebody to do it, to give me an outfit, because she didn't have it, and they didn't let her say." Because this didn't appear. This is something that I am saying. That she probably said that she had an original outfit, but she got unlucky and it didn't fit. And instead of desperately trying to put on something, she just asked somebody else for an outfit, for somebody who prepared an extra outfit in the case they got a bigger girl or a bigger man. And they had the extra outfit. So I found this extremely extremely annoying, because when you look at this and you judge the challenge in a fair way, I think that she actually did worse than Gigi, because there is no resemblance at all between the two of them. The makeup is beautiful. I wouldn't call it a 10. Let's go with a 9 for what was her name, for Nicole, and a 7, 8 for Heidi herself. And so on average, Gigi actually did better. But the problem is that Gigi was absolutely never called out. The worst that she got was, it's a little bit too simple. Heidi was completely red to filth. Rue and Michelle completely destroyed her. They started with, the makeup, I don't see the family. Heidi, I don't see the family resemblance. Heidi, the makeup of your daughter is better than yours. Heidi, you should have made another outfit in the 4 hours that you had. What were you doing, Heidi? While everybody else were training their daughters for lip syncing on stage, what were you doing? You should have had 4 hours is more than enough for making another dress. Or Heidi, you should have cut your garment and put a little bit more sequins on it. Hold on a moment. Did she say sequins?
I feel like she should have tied in with some sequins or something.
When life is bringing you down, put on a shiny sequin gown. Are you saying sequin or
Why didn't you put your daughter in more sequins?
sequin dress? I think is what you mean.
Sequins or something.
In more
Sequins or something.
Although reading is fundamental, darling, you might learn how to spell first, you illiterate fuck.
When life is bringing you down, put on a shiny
Sequins.
gown. Sequenced.
So I let Latrice express my feelings for this episode. I don't get I try to get not emotionally invested because the show is, of course, edited a lot. There is, we basically see 1% of what was going on and blah, blah, blah. So I try to stay as little emotionally invested to the show as I can. I prefer to get emotionally invested when I actually see something coming clear from the queens, something that they do on social media or some kind of project that they carry on, and I actually have an unfiltered view of the person. So I try to keep my emotions in check. But this episode really, really triggered me. And this exact moment triggered me so much because there was no reason to go the extra mile and humiliate Heidi so much, especially when in contrast, you basically try to make Gigi look as good as possible instead of giving her a proper critique. Even though Heidi deserved to be on the bottom, there was absolutely no need to go for her so much, because there is a moment in which Rue goes for like 1 minute straight with, oh, Heidi this, or Heidi that, or Heidi, it's too much. It's too much. She had to go in the bottom, perfect, give her critique, and that's it. Case closed. It's simply too much, and I didn't enjoy this part. I actually wanted to throw the laptop somewhere else, but thank God I didn't do it. So, after this unpleasurable moment, we got the superfan lip syncing, and I think we all agree on who the winner was. Grace was the absolute winner of the lip sync. She gave everything. You can see that she actually trained. And but overall, it was really, really nice to see them. You know, they were having fun. They were not thinking about it. It was really a high moment. After getting such a bummer from the critique, seeing this put me a lot better in a much better place. Let's say it like this. They could have shown us a little bit more, because it was fun, it was actually enjoying, but you know, it is how it is. Now a shout out to who I think is the moral winner of this episode, Nicole. I absolutely lived for Nicole. She was fantastic. She reminded me so much of Latrice during season 4, so that could be it. And she just came out, you know, as this sweet woman who was unlucky enough not to meet people who were able to see the beauty in her. Now, if Nicole ever gets to see this or ever gets a note of what I'm saying, Nicole, you are embracing the wrong part of the queer culture. You have to be introduced to the bear community. That will teach you that there are a ton of men who are out there who are actually looking exclusively for women like you. So if somebody cannot appreciate your beauty, your way of having physical beauty, that is their problem. So move on and find your man and start being happy. So now that we said that, we had the lip sync for your life, Jackie versus Heidi. I didn't get to see a lot about Heidi for this lip sync. Every moment that I was watching, it was Jackie, 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 Jackie. And every time the two of them were together on screen. I don't know if you guys noticed, but you always had Jackie in the front and Heidi in the background. Always almost as if it's sending a message that is saying this one is better than the other, or at least this was my impression during the whole lip sync. When Ru saved Heidi, I thought that I did a lot of things wrong, that my prediction were completely wrong. But the point is, in the end, they saved Jackie as well. Now, before we move on to the speculation, let's take a little bit of a look to the chart, and then we go back with this thing between Jackie and Heidi. So for this episode, this is the confessional chart. Now, as you see, we have a little bit of negative confessionals with Jada. You remember this moment in which she is talking about another one of the superfans not able to walk in heels? Was it walking in heels? Or no, it was when they were talking about who was it? It was the girl that was with Crystal, Grace. She was talking about this Wonder Woman thing, this way of getting confidence, and then you cut to a confessional of Jada saying something shady with shady noises and so on. So you had these things going on with her, which is a little bit telling if you ask me. And then we have Jackie. Jackie got a ton of negative confessionals. Now, what do I think about these negative confessionals? I think they are part of the original edit. They were part of dismissing Jackie. Because don't forget, we have 2 episodes left. So at some point you have to dismiss someone if that someone is not going to reach the top. And this, I think, is the meaning of the negative confessionals that were given to Jackie, because originally she was not supposed to go to the top. Originally, Crystal was supposed to go to the top. Crystal? Yes, Crystal was the one that was supposed to be on the top next to Gigi, Jada, and Redacted. So they, in the original edit, they had to start dismissing someone. Now I'm happy that they're not doing this with Heidi, but you see, they're not giving her negative confessionals, but they're reading her to filth during the show. So in a way, we see the negative confessionals for Jackie in the chart, and we have this negative kind of subliminal editing for Heidi, that she appears in a very positive way. She had a ton of confessionals as usual. They are all positive. But then again, the judges dismiss her over and over and over again. So I think that this serves as a picture for telling you who was going to be eliminated. Now, if you've watched the previous live streams, you know what I think. You know what I think about Jackie. This is the chart for the whole season. Now, Jackie was not supposed to be on the top. She was not supposed to be on the top. But then again, they had so many different opportunities to dismiss her. And when you look back at the episode, the only person who really was dismissed from a clear point of view of the viewer was Heidi. Because from Jackie, yes, you have the shady noises, yes, you have a little bit of shady confessionals, but Heidi got completely destroyed. And I think that was for a reason. I don't think that Heidi, even in the original edit, I don't think that Heidi was supposed to go to the top. And you know why? Because you have this edit that they're having with Gigi. They are not taking any chances with Gigi at all. Not the slightest. She's never in the bottom. She never gets negative critiques. She always gets positive critique, reaching critique. You know, when they go around say, oh my god, this is next level, this is blah blah blah, this is blah blah. Yes, it looks good, but don't start with this overdoing it. And they are overdoing it. So the point is, when they're doing so much to enhance Gigi's edit, they're not going to put her against someone like Heidi. someone who got so much confessional time, so much evolution, character evolution during the whole show. They cannot possibly put Heidi in the top next to Gigi, because you know what happens? It will fracture the community. It will fracture the fandom. When the finale airs, you will see basically the similar thing that what happened with Drag Race UK, that everybody was with how was she called? My God, I'm so bad. What was her name? And it's not coming. Oh, good God. Well, basically the Vivian was in the bottom. The public vote was not the Vivian. Everybody else, but not the Vivian. And then in the end, the Vivian won. So in a way, maybe this kind of controversy somehow helped the popularity of the show, because it kept the buzz going on, people tweeting, people writing, people redditing, and blah blah blah, and they talked and they talked and they talked, but you know, it wasn't the best view. And the problem with Gigi is that they are building her up, and they're building her up for a reason. And we're going to talk about that when I talk to you about the next episode that I'm working on. But trust me, they're not going to put her next to Heidi. I would be pleasantly surprised if it happens, but I don't believe with a bone in my body that it will ever happen, because they were very liberal with Heidi. They really gave her time to develop. They really gave her a lot of confessionals, so people built an intimate relationship with Heidi. Heidi is seemingly one of the most successful queen of the whole season, on her own merit, even without winning. So you see, it's simply too much. They were too liberal with Heidi. She would be too much of a competitor to the person that they chose as the plausible winner for the season. Now, with this, what I want to say? Well, what I want to say is that Heidi has to go home. Heidi will have to go home. And she will have to go home next episode. So maybe we'll have a lip sync against Jackie again, like what happened with Darian and Ben de la Creme back in season 6. Maybe she will go against Jada, which seemingly seemed to be the only one who showed the actual lip sync abilities to actually send Heidi home. Or maybe against Crystal, and we will get to see something amazing against Crystal, because don't forget, of course they edit the lip syncs, but you have to have, you know, basic lip sync abilities to at least have a chance to send one like Heidi home, because otherwise it looks completely fake. So we have one of these three possibilities. She will not lip sync against Gigi. So let's take that thing out of our mind. They're going so far with Gigi that we will never see her lip sync until the season finale, if we even have a season finale at this point. But this is something that we can talk about later. So don't worry about Jackie. They're just dismissing her. They're not taking the time to actually dismiss Heidi, because they're probably going to send her home. And so next episode we will see who actually goes home. And I'm really, really curious about episode 12. What are they going to do when they will basically end up with a top 5? You know, if they do something with it, if they put Rue in drag again saying redacted, you're disqualified, I am curious about it. So this is it for this episode. I hope we've been quickly enough. 40 minutes. I'm trying to, you know, keeping it as fast as I can, but you know, I start talking and then I lose it. So now that we have done that, I'm going to take a quick cigarette pause, and after that we're going to talk about the next episode and read some comments. Okay, let me remove a little bit of images from the background, and there we go. See you in a minute. I don't need you to lie. I don't need
Don't need the right tools. You just need the guts to seize it. To seize it in the middle. You don't exactly know it, but you know it needs a little breaking up. Shake it up. Shake it up. When things start to settle down. Shake it up. Like it's a snowblow town. The city's like a bottle of sparkling wine. Pour a bullet open, let's take some time. Shake it up. Shake it up. These are cynical times. We had to endure so many clinical lines, so little actual cures. When getting money's our religion and love is in need, we sit and watch while our country bleeds. I'm gonna stop trying to get off the hook, and I really don't care if everybody looks. Shake it up. Let me tell you, baby steps won't work. Shake it up, shake it up. Okay, it just might hurt. The city's like a bottle of sparkling wine. Pour a bullet open, let's take some time. Shake it up. Shake it up. Shake it up. Shake it up.
And we're back. So, I have some comments. Lip sync songs. I cannot play them. I cannot play them. I'd love to play them, but the problem is, if I play them, they will get a copyright. So, this song, I don't think it was copyrighted. I tried to actually contact the person that made this and acquire the rights to use it, or at least ask if I could use it. But she seemingly disappeared online. So I'm going to look into that because I really like it. I really like it. I first saw it in an episode of American Dad. So let's talk a little bit what I'm working on. We have this new episode of The Chop where we're going to talk about Gigi Said It. Now, I've been a little bit slow with the work because I started with an idea and then I started adding a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And then, it simply became 3 times as big as it was supposed to be. Now, everything that I added, I think it was necessary to add to explain a little better the whole situation and everything that is going on, but it's getting too much, and I'm trying to keep this episode at least on 15 minutes, for 2 reasons. After 15 minutes, people basically go blank, and YouTube doesn't really like it. For some reason, they are used to my channel publishing 15 minutes video, and that is usually the mark. So I'll try to stay on this mark, which in turn means that I'll have to chop the script that I created. So what are we actually going to talk about in the next episode? We're going to talk about what is an hero headed, how did it come to be in reality television, how it rose in time and everybody was doing it, how it declined and why it declined. And then we're going to talk about the fact that Gigi was the perfect candidate for receiving this kind of edit. And we're going to talk about why World of Wonder is pushing so much through the editing to make her look as best as possible. Of course, you know the answer. The answer is money, but we're going to take a closer look to what actually means getting money out of this kind of edit. And in the end, for closing the episode, we're going to talk about the fact that at the end of the day, Gigi will be the only one who will pay the full price for this kind of edit. Well, basically the production will walk away with a new batch of queens, a new season, and new queens to seemingly take advantage of. So this will be the episode. I have a ton of material to collect for it because I'm going to make a lot of examples with other queens during the previous seasons. So it turned out much bigger than I expected. So I don't think it will be out next week. I don't think there is any chance it will actually be out next week. So I hope it will be out in about 10 days on Tuesday the 12th. Yes, Tuesday the 12th. I hope to have it out by that time. The problem is that I had nothing prepared for this. I had a lot of ideas, a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, and a way in which I wanted to talk about it, because the point is that Gigi is a wonderful queen, and she deserves absolutely nothing of all the negativity that is coming out of her edit. And I want this to come out during the video for two reasons. First, because she deserves the respect, and second, because I want people who actually root so hard for her to not think that we're just making a video to disrespect her, but to actually make them understand that if they genuinely care about these queens, it's their duty to go beyond the edit. Otherwise, they will be disappointed. Otherwise, all the hype will be flipped over and transformed into a disappointment toward her. So I will be trying to do this. Now, let's move on to... Oh, I still have this image on. Wait a moment. There you go. Okay, let's go to the comments. Let's scroll again to the beginning and see where we go. Oh, Lady Baconator were in the chat. And Syria Jenkins. My God, I have to learn to read the goddamn comments during the stream. I have to learn to do that. I cannot multitask. Okay, let's scroll. Reshero Chiara. It would be awesome to see what's written in those contracts. I would love that. You don't know how much I'd love that. I say it every time, hoping that for some reason a contract would magically appear at toprpdrvideos@gmail.com, which of course would be illegal because, wink wink, on the contract is probably written that the contract itself has to be kept a secret. But I live in another nations, so in a way, come get me, bitch. This is what I think. So I would love to see it. If I would see it, I would probably put it inside every video, because that they are squeezing the soul out of these queens. The problem is you can speculate about it, you can talk about older contracts, but the contract that we have is from season 8, and a ton of things have changed since season 8. First of all, the show completely exploded. Then they moved to VH1. Then they started creating all this All-Star season. Then they started to create Drag Race UK, now Celebrity Drag Race. Then they're moving All-Stars to another network. The show completely exploded. What does this mean? Well, it means that the contract is extremely unbalanced in favor of the production, because the more the show becomes popular, the more bargain they have against the queens, because it's a popular show and everybody wants to be on. If it was a show that nobody watches, then the queens would have a little bit of leverage, because after all, the production is not offering that much visibility. But visibility in such a show like Drag Race is today means that basically these queens get robbed completely. Of course, it's my opinion. I have to say that it is my opinion. I have no contract for season 12, for example. But that already in the contract for season 8, there are so many sneaky clauses inside. It's unbelievable. The way that these queens, for a set period of time, they cannot sign contracts with anybody else unless they get permission. They have to they had to take the production as their managers. in good faith, which of course means, you know, managers, they usually don't get paid an amount of money. They get paid in a percentage of whatever you get paid when they find you a job. So there is all this kind of things in the contract. They get a cut of the YouTube channel. At least in season 8, they got a cut of it. If you ask me, probably in the season 12 contract, now they get everything. But, you know, you can really say that. I would love to see the contract. I would absolutely love it. But, you know, maybe in the future. Maybe in the future we will help. It will help. We'll have to see about that. What else do we have? Amateur season. If you're reading this and we are at the part when you are critiquing Crystal. If you're reading this, we are at the part when we are critiquing Crystal. What does it mean? What does it mean? To help with the other comments. Oh, crap. Okay. Let's go on. Let's go on. Okay, that's basically it. That's basically it for the comments. Let's see if there is something interesting. I was happy she got a good moment in Untucked with her fan drag daughter. Oh, you're talking about Jackie. I didn't watch Untucked. I didn't have time. I got the episode yesterday afternoon, and basically it took me until an hour before the stream to prepare everything that I have right now. So I haven't watched Untucked. That's a little bit unprofessional, but unfortunately I didn't have the time. Lady Baconator has a prediction. Says, I think it will be Jackie, Jada, Crystal, and Gigi in the final 4. I couldn't agree more. I would be curious to see how they pair them up for the lip sync, but then again, there's always this possibility. How the hell are they going to film the finale? Because either they film it without an audience, or because they cannot do a live stream about it. You know, that they actually film the finale for something like 12-15 hours, and then they chop and edit everything together to basically make it look like whatever they want it to look like. For example, I read about someone who was at the season live finale, and they said that people completely lost it in the final lip sync when it came to Peppermint against Sasha. But then when I watched the episode, actually, what I saw was the opposite. So you never know, you know, people can come online and say, oh, I was there and this happened and blah, blah, blah. But if it's not a confirmed source, you cannot really see what's happening. So how are they going to do this finale? I don't know. I don't think there is any chance that they will do a stream of the finale. What probably could happen is that there is no live finale and maybe they will stream the final product. It could be. But if I'm seeing through this correctly, I think that the finale will be postponed for a very, very simple reason. And you know, whenever I say a simple reason, you know what I mean. It's money. Because under a contract, the one that we still have, the one from season 8, you see that this exclusivity period in which they basically control the queens, it starts from the day the live finale airs. So until that episode airs, the clock does not start ticking. So the more they postpone it, the more control they have over the queens. And you know, in a way, we are all in this situation. It's an awful situation and blah, blah, blah. But in a way, toward the World of Wonder and the rest of the production team, the rest of the 44 producers that are making this mess that we have today, that we used to call Drag Race, is that they're not going to make much money from these queens, because we are going to be in this situation for a long time. And no matter what's written in the contract, they cannot air the finale next year and keep them under contract for 3 or 4 years. They cannot do that. The queens can actually They cannot do a live action because they waive that right, but I think they can actually try to invalidate the contract. And if that happens, God help me. If the contract gets legally invalidated, it means they can speak. So I will be really curious to see what they have to say, because it's all a circle. If you start talking, then you will not appear on WoW, you will not appear on Drag Race, and blah blah blah. But some queens simply don't give a shit about it. And the first one that doesn't give a shit about it is, rightfully so, Britta. So I would be really curious if that possibility arises. My God, I cannot. Oh my God. I would love it. I would love it. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Now, Drag Race UK, Divina De Campo. There we go. When they did the live, not the live, sorry, this, how is it called? Online voting, Divina basically destroyed everybody else. Yet, she didn't win. And I think there is a reason for that, because she's very well spoken. She is really smart. And I would like to see the contract for Drag Race UK, because they are in UK, so different countries means different laws. So a smart queen like that, an older queen like that, will not be so easy to manipulate in a way. At least this is the way I read it. I read the whole situation. And also you have to think about the fact that the Vivienne was elected the ambassador like 4 or 5 years ago for Drag Race in the UK, and a lot of people talked about favoritism when it came to her. So only based on that, my prediction was that she was not going to win, because people are simply saying, okay, you picked the person that you picked 4 years ago. How nice is that? So it's curious. The one of Drag Race UK is really curious. But then again, when you think about it, it's a complete mess. Because in a matter of months, they had to come out with Season 12, All Stars 5, Drag Race UK, and Celebrity Drag Race. And you can see that it shows. The sloppiness shows. I think they took in too much. They took in too many shows altogether. And they probably try to use as little resources as possible to carry out all of these things. I think Drag Race UK was really, really sloppy. The fact that they didn't even win prizes is, well, come on. You make millions with this show. Give them something. If you cannot give them money, give them a dress, give them some wigs, give them something. Don't give them a pin. I mean, it was ridiculous. Come on, guys. It was really ridiculous. Lady Baconator says the plan was most likely Gigi versus Redacted in the finale. I agree. I completely agree. And before this whole situation started, my boyfriend actually said that, in his opinion, they were pushing Redacted to be the first big girl to actually win Drag Race. So I don't know. We'll never know. There would be a good possibility to understand something if we got the original edit of the show, because I could actually compare it piece to piece and see exactly what was going on. But we will never know. And in a way, it's for the better. So at least about that, I'm happy that we don't know. Lady Baconator says, I can see Heidi in All Stars at some point. Not at some point. I think as soon as possible. And I think as soon as possible, because whenever they have an underdog edit, that gets old really quick. And I think that Heidi is no different. So they will try to take advantage of this as much as possible. And for what regards who will win, you know what I believe. It's basically between Jada and Gigi. So at this point for World of Wonder, it's a win-win situation, because if they make Gigi win, they basically complete her hero headed. She has at the peak of her notoriety, let's say it like that, and they can take full advantage of that. I don't know if you noticed, but some fashion outlets out there, they are already talking about Gigi. And you know how the fashion world works. They love thin queens, they love white queens, they love young queens. So Gigi is simply perfect for that kind of job. So this could be, so I can easily see Gigi winning. But there is something that I want you to think about. What if Jada wins? So World of Wonder gets to score some woke points with the people who say, oh, the Drag Race is disrespecting queens of color. Drag Race is putting only queens of colors as villain and blah 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 and blah blah blah. And then they come out and say, oh no no no, the next drag superstar is a black woman. A black woman. Well, it's Jada. Let me call her woman. But there is another positive thing about that. If Gigi doesn't win, it means that she will come back for All Stars. And if she comes back for All Stars, they put her under contract again, getting a cut of her earnings, in my opinion, for again another 2 years. So if they really believe that much in Gigi, she will not win this season. Because if she doesn't win, they get to put her under contract again. And they get to make even more money out of her. So I will be curious to see who wins with this perspective in mind. Kylie Wilson said, what is this song? It's called Shake It Up by Cristofani. Alethea, smoking is bad, hun. Yes, it is. It is. I'm trying to quit. It didn't work. I have an electronic cigarette. It helps. I'm smoking much less. But when I'm on the stream, I get a little bit more tense. Let's say it like this. So if I have 3 or 4 minutes to go quickly to the bathroom, drink something, have off a cigarette, it's just perfect. Domingo Calderon says, please, on your cigarette breaks, play some lip sync songs. Oh, that's what I was reading before. Rishero Chiara says, the thing is that being so out of politics in a time of presidential election while being LGBTQ+ shows how much privileged she is, because she has the option not to care, while most of LGBTQ+ cannot. She's talking about Gigi, I believe. Well, the problem with politics is that nobody wants you to really care about politics. Nobody wants you to understand it, because if you are stupid and ignorant about it, it's much easier to gather your vote for some reason. Now, I don't live in the U.S., but I don't like your system that you basically have 2 choices for a president. You basically have 2 parties and everybody acts as if those are the only 2 choices that you have, when in reality, when you look closer, you have many other choices and nobody talks about it. So they have this dual system, which is it's whatever it is. From the outside, let me tell you how it looks. It looks like both of the parties don't really give a shit. They are bouncing the ball between each others in order to keep everybody out. That's how it looks from the outside. But then again, I'm not on the inside. So this is just my impression of the whole thing. Because I see a lot of things that I don't like from both sides. And these are basic things, like real basic things, like, for example, healthcare. And the candidate for the Democratic Party, is it called Democratic Party? Well, the left party doesn't care about universal health care, and that is the first thing that any nation should have. You need to have this sort of things. You cannot leave people dying in the street. You cannot leave people in debt for the rest of their life, or spending all their savings because at some point they get cancer. It's unbelievable. Education and health should be the first priority in every nation. But then again, who wants you to be educated? You can just be a sheep and work all your life and be treated like shit, and well everybody else everybody else. A small group of people gets the fruit of your work. And I don't like these kind of things. You guys in the US have a lot of incredible things, but you also have a lot of nasty things going on. It's puzzling. It's puzzling. But then again, let's move on to something a little bit lighter. I mean, it's midnight. Kayo Kamada said, I agree, Crystal was the only queen ever to make Crystal was the only queen ever on a makeover challenge to have looks that were different both in fabric, pattern, and silhouette, and still making them look related. Well, I didn't really understand Crystal's look, but it piqued my interest, which is a good thing. Because every time I hear somebody talking about mostly online, showing an example and say, oh, this is high fashion because this, and that. Unfortunately, I don't really have a high for that. But what I noticed is that every time somebody is praising something particular, and then I look at it, the feeling that I get is this slight feeling of being puzzled about it, of seeing things like contrast or a way that different parts of the outfit seem to work together to make a kind of a message. This is the feeling that I get out of it. This is as far as I can go with it. I cannot go more far than that. But I know, in general, as a general rule of thumb, if it makes me think, it means that there is something about it. If I just look at it and nothing happens, then there is not much going on with it. This is at least a correlation that I found between people that actually understand this and me that just looks and says, oh, it's nice, it's cute, it looks good. This is as far as I will go. Sayu Uvu says, I believe drag is inherently a political statement. It used to be, but don't forget that drag has now gone mainstream, and it's a form of art, and art can transmit everything that you want to communicate with it. It started as a political statement, and then it went into the public domain, let's say it like this. So it belongs to everybody. Which means that anybody can transmit any kind of message with it. But I will agree with you with the fact that it started at least as a very strong political statement. Kylie Wilson says, Gigi comes across to me as more harmlessly naive about politics. She's still very young. Yes, I agree with you, and I think it's important that you pointed out the fact that she's still very young. She is just 21. Now, I don't know how many of you developed a political conscience by the time you reached 21. I can tell you that I didn't. It came much more after that. But trying to look political is part of the show. The show desperately trying to look political while at the same time they are not really saying anything. They are not really adding anything to the conversation, which is a pity because at least the show used to be a place in which they would mock the political climate. And I think that in a way, mocking and making fun of a situation, it's still a useful commentary. While coming out with slogan and saying, oh, you have to vote and you have to vote this because that is bad, that it's not helping anybody in developing a political conscience that will make you understand the message and spread the message and educate possibly other people that you will come in contact with. Because, saying somebody to do something, that is not the way you convince anybody. That's not how it works. So yes, Gigi in a way is naive, and the show is basically portraying her as naive. But they really tried to minimize that, didn't they? Tiogo Moreu and then something else, I'm sorry. I think being gay and don't care to politics is self-destruction. Well, it depends where you live. Sometimes some people live in states in which being gay basically doesn't matter anymore. But if you live in the US, you have to remember one thing, that you have no how are they called? Ah, this time I'm always missing words. You have no laws that protects you from being fired because you're gay, and or that protects you from being fired because you get frequently ill. Uh, you or that protects you because you occasionally drink too much during the weekend or smoke a joint. You don't have all of these laws in the US. Basically, you can be fired depending on the state you live in. You can be fired whenever, wherever. So if you're queer, it's worse, of course, especially if you live in states of the South, I believe. But generally, it's the whole working situation that it's bad. It's not just bad for us. It's bad generally, because they have, I don't know, when I look at the US, they seem to have this fixation that having social politics equals communism. They are transmitting this message. You cannot have public schools and good education because it's communist, and you cannot have national health care because it's communist, and you cannot have because they have, they say this word and say, oh, it's this, so you cannot have it. No, those are two different things. Those are two different things. So you see, politics, it's complicated. In a way, I understand young people when they go at it and say, oh my God, I couldn't care less. It couldn't care less. It just doesn't stick, because it's a complicated thing that gets even more complicated by the fact that nobody really wants you to understand it. That's the problem with it. Velho765, nice to see you. Jada as the next drag superstar. Let's talk about the serious issues. Gigi as the next drag superstar. I'm not a robot, winks obviously, while wearing a fashionable jacket. Well, they have different ages. You cannot really blame Gigi for this. She's so young. She is just so young, and she is a reflection of the time and the place in which she was raised. So you see, it's really, in a way, it's also unfair. It's fun to talk about it, but you also have to think about the thing. How can you have developed really a political conscience if you are so young? Is she even going to college? Is she exposed to this turmoil of culture? That I don't know about that. I don't think so. But it's also a matter of age, because Jada is much more experienced, and by the looks of it, it looks also like she had a much harder life to deal with, which explains why she looks to me so smart in a way. Amateur season, it's just like Aiden when fans sent her hate for being low when Rock was eliminated. Oh, you're talking about Gigi? Yes, it's the same exact thing. It's the same exact thing. It's not their fault. If I were Gigi, what I would do would be trying to fly low as much as possible. Trying to be as not reserved, but not riding the wave of all the praise that she's getting during the show, because she risks looking delusional. Because if people buy into the hero headed, then it's all perfect. But what about all the people that didn't buy into the hero headed, and they are connecting the two things together and projecting on Gigi, so they already don't like her, and then they see her on social media saying things that they deem to be stupid or without any real meaning behind it. So you see, it's a little bit of a complicated situation there. Lady Baconator, I think that Gigi got screwed by Redacted getting disqualified. Redacted was probably going to be edited just as strongly as her, but her getting edited out screwed up the season. That could be. That would also explain why we got so many strange confessionals, because that we don't have confessionals from Redacted anymore. So they had to be replaced with something. Now, is it possible to identify them without the original footage? I think it's possible, judging the amount of edit that took for inserting some of these confessionals. I think we can end up pinpointing out which confessionals have been edited during the season. But it's really difficult to say. But judging from the wins of Gigi and from the time she was not put in the bottom when she should have been, I can already see that this was something that it was already in the script. They already wanted to do it. Then maybe the fact that Redacted was disqualified made it a little bit worse. But all these things were already there. The critique that she receives, they were filmed already. All the tops, the bottoms, the wins, and so on, that were all things that were decided already. So it made it worse, possibly, but it was already there. Sayu Huvu says, I think Redacted was gonna set up to win. Yeah, probably. You never know. I think that they have this idea of putting in the top a cast that is as diverse as possible. And then they look at the public vote and basically decide which one is the best crowd pleaser. But you have also you also have to remember one thing. When they shoot the live finale, they have no idea if somebody is going to fuck it up really bad. Let's not forget what happened with Asia O'Hara. Her lip sync against Cameron Michaels was a complete flop. This butterfly thing was terrible to watch, to say the least. So I don't think she had a possibility to win the season, but I don't think she was supposed to go on fourth. So you will never know. Or what happened with Sasha Velour when she killed Shay during the lip sync. Who could have seen that coming? I mean, you have to adjust for these things. But in general, yes, every time you look at the top, you can see 2 or 3 people that can be the possible winners. Then they judge the circumstances and pick one, usually the one that makes them look best. Diogo Moreu says, after Britta quit the edit, is trying to make Gigi the new villain. Oh no, I don't think so. I don't think so. She still doesn't have any proper negative confessionals. You can see a hint of that, but then you also have to keep in mind one thing. When I decided that I wanted to make these streams and I wanted to create this confessional chart to make predictions, I originally had 5 different categories. A neutral one. I had a positive one in which the queens talk positively about anything. Then they have a narrating positive one in which they're basically telling you what happens in a positive way, a proper narrating confessional, and the 2 opposite ones as well. So a narrating negative confessional and a proper negative confessional. So if we go by this way of categorizing, yes, you can see that Gigi has some narrating / negative confessionals. But it's really a stretch, like really, really a stretch, because every time you look at a confessional, you don't just, at least I don't just look at what the queen is saying or which kind of music is playing in the background. I also consider the context in which you actually see the confessional, because context is everything, and the way it will be perceived by the viewer depends on the context. So when you take that into account, she basically have 0 negative confessionals, and they wouldn't go the extra mile to push her so much only to reach the end and start portraying her in a negative way. It would make absolutely no sense. Of course, I'm not a producer, for Drag Race. So maybe at some point, for some reason, they decided to stir the pot a little bit and make her look bad. But it's, you know, we are here doing prediction. It just doesn't seem realistic to me. The possibility of Gigi's edit going downhill. It just doesn't seem a possibility. There is too much evidence of actually the opposite going on. Kayo Kamada said, Gigi the white privileged robo. Where is it? Oh, okay, fantastic. So, YouTube, of course, moved my chat again, so I lost what I was reading. Great. Well, let's go on, see if there is anything that we missed. Law for AHYC says you do not need to go to university college to pay attention to societies and engage with politics. I agree with you, but you also have to be a very special kind of person. For me, I developed a political conscience, but it was not driven by me, myself. Because I was basically in the same situation in which Gigi was. It was just too much of a mess. I couldn't pick it up. I didn't understand it. What happened is when I pursued my higher education, I actually met people who were studying politics, and that actually took the time to help me build this simple but important basis that you need to have in order to start building a political conscience and actually understand the things that are going around. So for me, it was extremely important. But it's not an absolute requirement. But you also have to be a very special kind of person. You need to be, you need to be smart, you need to be interested, and you need to not be discouraged so much when you watch the television, see a debate, and actually understand what is going on, because it's not that easy. It's easy to say when you watch a debate on television to simply say, okay, they're just trying to overpowering each other, and that's it. It's easy to say that, but what you have to actually look is the way the dynamic that goes behind it, the way they try to evade questions, the way they are basically feeding people what they want to hear. It's not easy, or at least it wasn't this easy for me. So I do understand it if people have actual problems with it. But then again, I'm not on a reality TV show. And I'm not 21, so I don't have to answer for that in a way. Alethea says, no money? Great. Can strike or you die of hunger or lacking health insurance. Yeah, well, Domingo Calderon. Oh no, this is a reply. What was he saying? I think I lost the comment. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Domingo Calderon. This is so true. They put in the bottom war bad thing. Oh my god, I cannot read this. I don't understand it. It's too late. I'll go on. It says the black community and the religious minority cliche. I was so mad that Gigi wasn't in the bottom that episode. Oh, I know what you're talking about. We're going to talk about that. We are going in the next episode. We're going to have a segment in which we talk about that, and we talk about that not from our impression. I will actually show you the numbers. So we're going to show the numbers, we're going to run a statistical test on the numbers, and we're going to see how it is statistically impossible that what is happening by chance. So I'm going to do that. That's also part of the problem, why it's taking so long for the new episode to come out. But we're going to talk about that, because the bias toward people of color is not only an impression, it's a reality. Or at least a statistical reality. But Diego Moreo says, Diogo Moreo, sorry. Well, in Brazil nowadays, we have to care about politics because we have two horse ruining my country. I'm sorry, I'm not that versed in Brazilian politics, but I believe you. I believe you. Alethea said, dumb and desperate people are great to control. Yes, that is the whole point. That is the whole point. You know, dumb, desperate, or simply confused. Don't forget, you don't need to be dumb in order to be confused. You can actually be really smart and still be confused, just because a lot of people are putting a lot of effort in trying to confuse you. You know, it's much easier to confuse people and then give them a motto and vote based on the motto. My God. It's, you know, I'm talking about this not only from the point of view of the US, because this is the same everywhere. Everywhere. It's just the era in which we are living. So it's the same in my country, it's the same in the country I'm living in, it looks to be the same in the US. I have no doubt that it's the same in Brazil. It's probably the same everywhere. You know where it's not the same? In those states where it's even worse. And you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if I can mention them on YouTube, but you know who I mean. Okay. Where are we? Lisbeth Paulino said, I felt the very same way, especially because she didn't have stars nor stripes. Any other queen would have been the bottom for that. Oh, you're talking about Gigi's look. Well, there's been a lot of talk about Gigi's look for that episode. I really like the outfit, but I have read somewhere that that was an outfit that was supposed to be for the British Army, and the subject was Stars and Stripes, which means the constituent fathers for the U.S. And the two things didn't go hand in hand. Of course, they didn't go, and that was a huge critique for it. I like the outfit. I didn't see stars or stripes, but you know, from my point of view, from my distorted point of view, let's call it like this, I was expecting to see stars and stripes, and those I didn't really see. But then again, you can interpret it in many different ways, and maybe I give her the benefit of the doubt. If you know anything about me and this show, you know that I always give the benefit of the doubt, because most of the time I'm the one who has to review his own opinion. So you never know. Domingo Calderon says something in Spanish, I believe, or Portuguese. And then, exactly, baby, we have to care about our politics. It doesn't matter the age you are, because we all want peace and freedom. Yes, we can all agree on that, depending on the kind of freedom. I don't agree on some kind of freedoms, for example, but I don't think you should be free to buy a gun, for example, but those are just opinions. Lisbeth Paulino. I felt the very same way, especially because she didn't. Oh, no, this I already read. Alethea said, no education, believe bullshit and be proud because you're the best because you're the best and you could rise up, unless you're black. Then you know the American dream was always only for the 1%. Well, you know, there is I think this problem that they have in the US. Where I live, there is no or at least there appear to be no segregation. We are just all mixed up. We grow up as mixed up, we go on as mixed up, we study as mixed up, we work as mixed up, we marry as mixed up. So it doesn't really, there is really no difference. I mean, you can make a difference about color if you want to, but it's not a good predictor of the kind of person that you're going to meet, because it simply doesn't matter. But when you have, let's call it for how it is, a sort of segregation, because in the US, in some parts, you have parts where you have only African Americans, and they do not invest in the school, and the criminality is high. And of course, when you are in this kind of situation, people are going to grow up the way they grow up. And it's not about the color of the skin, it's about the kind of environment in which they were raised. So you start to see that, talking about prejudice, it becomes a kind of double-edged sword, because in a way, prejudice is not fair, but you can start to see how it justifies itself, because it seems to be a predictor. The double-edged sword relies on the fact that, of course, it's a predictor, but it has nothing to do with race. It has to do everything with the conditions. So it's really a complicated matter, but even putting it in these terms at least shows a little bit of of understanding of how really complicated the situation is. Because don't forget that on the other side of the fence, you have people who you cannot simply eliminate them. You have to try to have a dialogue, try to explain to them, try to have a talk to them, because this racial issues is complete bullshit, but it's so permeating at least in the American societies, that then when you look at the entertainment for the American societies, you see these things again, which means that they are still there. Otherwise they would be out of the entertainment industry. So and this is something that I don't like about about the media from this point of view. They all speak the right words, but then in practice, they seem to do nothing. Lady Baconator says, yeah, when the butterflies was frozen and not given time to warm up. Yes, you're talking about the lip sync with Asia O'Hara. Yes, they had to have time to warm up. This is something that I forgot to say. They looked as if they were still hibernated. They really needed more time, and Asia should have been more prepared from that point of view. Because you also have to understand one thing: they didn't know when they were actually going to lip sync. So she had no way to know when the time was right to get them out of hibernation. So from this point of view, you see that the problem is really, really, really at the beginning. She shouldn't have chosen butterflies to begin with, because the moment that you cannot calculate the getting out of hibernation, then you understand that you shouldn't be doing that. But that is the Sasha Velour effect. She absolutely killed the season before, so the season after, everybody tried to come out with the most incredible things. And a good lip sync is not necessarily about incredible reveals and so on. Kylie Wilson said, even if the butterflies didn't flop, it was a dumb gimmick. You need literally thousands of butterflies for it to look good. Well, I can imagine it working, but then again, I don't think that even if it worked, I do not appreciate bringing live animals to your performance. You're not dancing with your cat. You are releasing butterflies inside a theater, and who knows what will happen to them? Who knows the kind of hair that's in there? They're all going to die basically. So, it's an uncomfortable situation. It's just an uncomfortable situation. Amateur Season said, I have to go. We'll watch the stream later. Come on, you don't have to. It's nice that you came. So I'll see you next time. Anthony Hollier said, if they wanted battle between Gigi and Redacted, why didn't they show us more Jada during the season to replace the Redacted edit? Maybe they give the time for Jackie to make her a potential top 4. Well, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I'm sorry. What we know for sure is that they removed a lot from redacted, and they tried to, from my point of view, they tried to spread it around as much as possible. And the reason that I gave for that is that after you have 44 producers, and you have these 44 producers deciding which kind of edits they're going to have for the season, who gets what, and then it goes to the editing room, and then it goes to VH1, and then it comes back for correction, and you have all this back and forth, this work that goes on for months. The last thing that you want to do is to destroy somebody's edit just because you had to replace some blank space. So what I think they did was basically adding more of whatever was there already, because that would have been the safest course of action. You don't want to make a show and work so much on all these edits and storylines and then basically fuck them up at the last minute because you decided to add more of somebody else when someone else was disqualified and you decided to edit them out. I don't know if I made my point, if you understood what I meant. Alethea said, "Great, internet just dropped. My internet or your internet?" I'm reading excellent connection here, so I think your internet. Rishero Kiara, my problem with that outfit is that it was very similar to her entrance look. I think you're talking about, I don't know who you're talking about. Oh, Gigi. You're talking about Gigi. Domingo Calderon. It wasn't Portuguese. It was the name of Diogo something. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, yes, because he has this long name that I cannot absolutely pronounce. Perfect. Alethea, except to the producers who deserve no benefit of the doubt at all. They did not deserve the benefit of the doubt at all. They are you, don't get me started. We'll be here until tomorrow morning. Diogo Moreo says, in Brazil we speak Portuguese, which is the language of love, I would like to add, if you know what I mean. Oh my god. Melanie Louise Connor. Gigi has been given the same silhouette, except this last runway, although even that was another tailored coat. Yes, but then again, if you can give different silhouettes, that is nice, that is an added bonus. But, you know, at the end of the day, a lot of queens won with very similar silhouettes time after time after time. But in order to be eligible for the incredible compliments that she has been given during the season over and over and over, then yes, then I agree with you. She should have had a lot more variety, especially in her silhouette, especially with a little bit of padding. That is something that I would have appreciated. Velho765, I would gag to see Gigi in a full-length gown. I think she would look great, and I think that we are going to see her in a gown when she wins the race. Emily Butler says, in regards to the Stars and Stripes Gigi's outfit, it could be the case they changed the runway category after filming. I've heard a few queens talk about this happening to them. Oh, it's framed as a question. Well, if you're asking the question to me, I didn't hear anything like that. But then again, in the last couple of weeks, I've not been that much online and on social media, so on. So it could be that somebody told something. If you have a link, you can paste it and we can talk about it, probably in the next stream. But I don't know. I think it would be extremely improbable that they make them go out on the runway saying this is the runway theme, and then they say it's something else. Because we would all see the difference. You cannot say, okay, this runway is A, and then they say it's B, but they maintain the same outfits. It would be like, it would immediately come. How can you say? It would be really visible if something like that happens. I think that what is happening is that you have all these crazy fans that, that are completely crazy about Gigi, and they basically see what they want to see. That's the effect of this kind of edit with these people. Because you eventually reach a point in which you can say this is not just about having different opinions. This is about being, in a way, delusional, refusing to see things for what they are, refusing to be grounded in facts and evidence. So this sounds like something like that. And when I hear something like that, I just roll my eyes and go to something else, because it's not interesting to hear about other people's delusions. Other people's opinions, yes. Other people's delusions, no. Sergio Pidola. I hope. Okay, and my chat just... Ugh, my God. I hate this chat from YouTube. I hope they will change it really soon. I hope Crystal wins in the end. It's been 6 seasons since a Latina won. Well, for representation, it would be good. But for the kind of edit that she had, I think we are lucky already that she's in the top 4. We are lucky already about that. Because in a way, what I think is happening with Crystal is that she's on the wrong show. We don't have yet a drag show that would make someone like Crystal shine the way she is supposed to be shining. I don't know if you understood what I meant with that. She just has this crazy way of doing drag that just doesn't match the style of RuPaul's Drag Race. And the only alternative that we have is Regular, and it doesn't match that style again. So I think that it's a huge problem that, in a way, RuPaul's Drag Race kind of enclosed itself into this stereotypical queens that are praised on the show. But at the same time, you also have to consider the evidence. You never see someone like Crystal. That's all. And the fact that she's reaching the top, all of this considered, I would say that we've been lucky enough. We've been lucky enough. Let's go on. I would like Jida or Jackie to win too. Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, it was Rishero Chiara. Kayo Kamada, a reveal a good lip sync does not make. A reveal doesn't make a good lip sync. Yes, I agree with that, but it elevates it. And there's also a kind of shock value with it. Alethea said, prejudice change over the years when groups intermingle until there's people who benefit from propagating hate. Yes, I know what you mean. It's the difference between the kind of propaganda that you have from a political perspective and the fact that whenever you talk about racial issues, you are basically going against your argument in a way. Because, the final point of resolving racial issues is not having to talk about racial issues anymore. Because it's pointless. What's the point? It has nothing to do with anything, the color of your skin or the language you talk and so on. So in a way, I'm also extremely destroyed. So I'm starting not to make sense, I believe. Diogo Moreo says the finale of season 12 should be a 4 sachet and crown Stacey Lane Matthews. It's Stacey Lane Matthews, not Lee Matthews. Get it right. But yes, I would love to see her on All Stars. It's just not going to happen. Well, she was in the last All Star, but as a guest judge. Alethea said, yes, my internet. Oh, because of the comment I read before. Caio Kamada said, come to Brazil, reference with Stan. You got it. You know, a lot of people watch the video that I made, Midnight in the Library, and ask me, who is Krakuda? Who is Krakuda? How can you not know who Krakuda is? um, Lady Baconator, I like Gigi. The problem I have is the judge constantly giving her kid gloves, giving her the kid gloves. Yes, yes. When you think about it rationally, that's the only problem that everybody should have. But you know, they it's this kind of um, Pavlovian conditioning. At some point, they put the two things together so much that you start seeing Gigi and you immediately start rolling your eyes. And it's the production's fault. It's only the production's fault. They are doing this. But you know something, Lady Baconator? I think that we are not. It's because we are not the target audience anymore. The target audience is people in their teens who do not question anything and just digest the product and buy more product and spend their money and don't think about it that much. The problem with Drag Race is that over the years it has risen to the top because of us, because of people like us who obsess over the show, who continuously talk about the show, who support the show. It started with us, and then it basically trashed us away in order to be as appealing as possible to whoever was their new target audience, you know. And I understand that. I understand that this is happening. Okay, so I don't really have a problem with that. It's part of the business. What I would have appreciate a little bit is to continue showing a little bit of support for viewers like us. A little bit. Not too much, but at least a little bit. Because, you know, they are where they are because people like us never stopped obsessing and talking about it. Where was I? Alethea, please go on about the producers not deserving the benefit of the doubt. You know, my problem, I understand that they are doing their job. I understand that. So it's difficult to trash them knowing the fact that this is the way that they're feeding their families. But you also have to keep in mind that whenever they do their dirty job, they're causing other people not to be able to pay their rent, to live a comfortable life, or simply not to live in fear. So I understand that they are doing a job, but they're simply going too far. So I have no empathy towards them. I have zero empathy towards them. Because, you know, go tell Britta, you know, it could have been so easy to not bring her situation to the limit, knowing that people would react in a specific way, because we have had season after season after season of this exact thing happening over and over and over again. So they have zero benefit of the doubt. They knew exactly what was going to happen and they didn't give a shit. So from my point of view, they not only not deserve the benefit of the doubt, they don't even deserve my empathy. So they can go fuck themselves. Sorry, but I mean, it's been this time, it's been almost 2 hours. At this point, I have no more restraints. Lisbeth Paulino says, do you think Drag Race UK worked? I mean, drag is universal, of course, but Drag Race is very USA pop culture based, and I felt RuPaul's Drag Race UK was kind of sloppy and not as tasty. I completely agree with you. I think it was a complete miss. From my point of view, I'm happy that we had one more season of Drag Race. I'm happy that we had it from another country. But we didn't get anything about your country, really. What we got was the stereotype of sorry, I don't know if you are from the UK. Well, I assumed you were. But what we got was a stereotypical view of the UK from an American perspective. That is something that I didn't like. What they should have done was hire people from the UK and let them do the show. That's what they should have done. I think that didn't happen for one very simple reason. If they did something like this, they would have had to acquire a license from WoW Presents. Sorry, from World of Wonder. They would have had to make a new set, which means creating everything from the workroom to the main stage to the Untucked, which means investing a lot of money. And then they would have had to pay these people and to pay the guest judge and basically recreate all this machine, including the editing machine, starting from zero. So you understand, from this perspective, it would have been a massive investment for the BBC. What I think they did was simply, what I see that they did, judging from the credits, it's that they simply paid World of Wonder and say, you produce this, and I will buy the final product. Which also explains why they were so cheap in everything while doing that, you know? So yes, I would have preferred a proper Drag Race UK from that point of view. I'm still happy that we got something, and I have hopes that if it was really successful, the BBC will be willing to invest a little bit more money and make it into a proper season. That is what I think will happen. Domingo Calderon said, what do you all think about lip syncs of this season? Do you agree there was none memorable? Well, you are forgetting Jada in the first lip sync. She was incredible. She was absolutely my favorite of the whole season. Also, I think that Widow's first lip sync, she absolutely killed it. She was completely unstoppable. But yeah, other than that, we didn't see anything really sticking out for the crowd. I also thought that the choice for the songs for this season's lip sync, they were really lackluster. I mean, you can really count one or two that were proper lip sync song. Everything else, sorry to say it, but it looked just like shilling. They had to shill a song, and so they did it. Emily Butler says, I only mean a slight name change. For example, from like U.S.A. to something more specific, Stars and Stripes. Willem talks about it in his podcast, Happening to Him. I'm sorry, I completely lost the meaning of all this. I'm still too late with the comments. Let's see what we have. Diogo Moreo says, Crystal is almost a glitter Dragula in Drag Race. Yes, in a way. She's unique. You know, I hope we would have a little bit more space for that. But then again, Drag Race is not really selling inclusiveness, if you know what I mean. They're selling something else, which is inclusiveness only at face value. Alethea, it's annoying that if you accidentally hide the chat, whatever I wrote disappears. No memorization of what I typed. I think that I can see everything from the beginning. I don't dare trying to go up, because then I will never find this comment again. But I think, well, okay, I will dare going up. Let's see if I can get... Oh, no. No. I lose the comments as well. Yeah, it's awful. It's an awful way of chatting. But then again, this is what we have. Of course, I lost the comment. Let's go on. Awkward Squirtle. I wonder why they skipped so many lipstick mirror messages. Kinda sucked. They skipped? I didn't notice. It would be curious to know what was written in there, wouldn't it? You remember that infamous lipstick message left by Mariah when she was eliminated in season 3, and she said, "Congratulations, Raja." Well, no, I don't think that is the case. I think that they simply deemed it irrelevant and simply moved on. They probably had to shill for some more products. Kayo Kamada, I feel like Crystal lives in between Dragula and Drag Race. the problem is that these are the only things that we can compare at the moment from a point of view of famous show on international television at this point. But I think she is in a category of her own. I think we should have a third poll, if you know what I mean, simply called Crazy Drag. And that's where she belongs. Rightfully so, I would ask. Alethea, who is Krakuda? Well, if you don't know, I cannot tell you. Come on, at this point. I will tell you if you come to Brazil. Lady Baconator, man, I'm only 20 and I'm already out of the target audience. Yes, and you are 20 and you think you have a problem? What should I say? Alethea, and Gigi said a really, really stupid thing, but that's okay for that age. Well, yes, it sounds stupid, but in a way, I think it's commendable because admitting to being ignorant is the first step, It's the first step. You have to admit that you don't know. That's where you really start to do something. And I want to commend her for this because it's not easy to go on national television and say, listen, I know nothing about it. I know nothing about it. I'm sorry. I will look the way I will look, but I know nothing about it. So in a way, I must commend her for that. We need more of that, if anything. Diogo Moreu says, Krakuda is alive. Krakuda is love. Be a Krakuda, be happy. Kayo Kamada said, I am 15 and I'm already out of the target audience. Oh my god, this show is for babies. Well, I think that you are exactly in the target audience, but like other people, you are simply a little bit too awake in a way. You know what I mean? A little bit too quick. So it could also be because maybe you grew up with the show, so you started you know how to see different things. You developed an eye for these kind of edits and understood that you can enjoy the show, but just don't take it too seriously. It's just it's dramatized. Melanie Louise Connor says, I think most of the lip sync for your live songs have been meh. To be honest, it's been hard for the queens to bring it. Yes, that's what I wanted to say with that. It's hard to bring it if the song is not really a good song for lip syncing. I mean, Let It Go? Come on, that's not a lip sync song. It can be a lip sync song if you allow the queens to do crazy stuff on stage. Because there are ways in which I can think of people killing lip syncing to Let It Go, but none of these ways could be shown on television, if you know what I mean. Lady Baconator says, I feel sorry for the queens who end up having trouble getting gigs because they got a bad edit on the show. Yes, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Not only they get crucified on social media, but at the end of the day, it becomes even difficult to earn a living. That's too much, When you reach this kind of point, you understand that the edit simply took it too far. I'm not saying that this kind of show should not be edited, but you need to edit them in a certain way, or at least have a talk about it. Open a fucking dialogue about the editing so that these queens don't have to pay all the price for whatever goes on with the show. Diogo Moreu says, I feel like the queens are not feeling the song so much, like the old queens were. Well, as we said before, I don't think the songs were really optimal for lip syncing, but you also have to think about something else. A lot of the queens on the show, they are too young. They probably never lip sync to a crowd. And this is something. And it's not just about lip syncing to a crowd, it's about learning how to please the crowd while you lip sync. But also the show has become so, how can I say, so much of a gamble that a lot of very experienced and talented queens, I think they simply do not audition at all. They reached a point in their life in which they say, okay, I've been doing drag for 10, 15 years. I'm very good at doing this, and this part of drag, and I'm not going to risk to lose everything just because I want to go with this gamble. It's just not worth it. And I think that is also another reason why, on average, we see the quality of the lip syncs going basically down. Because we don't have many queens that lip sync for a living and have been doing it for a long time. They're simply not there anymore. Alethea says, for UK, there's the legal problem of the BBC being a communally owned and paid thing. You mean a public network? I think the problem is actually contractual. I can see different points that I could imagine being different or that need to be different in the contract. So, for example, signing away your likeness. In some countries, it might not even be legal to show somebody who is signing a contract as himself and then portray them in a way that is deceiving. I don't think. I think. Seemingly think that in some country this might even be illegal. Then in the contract it's also written that the one that we have from season 8, that they give up the right to how is it called, to basically start a lawsuit against the production team as a group. This thing has a special name. Class action. They give up the right for a class action. There are also some important aspects regarding the medical situation. So, for example, you have to give up your medical how is it called? Your medical records. And I think that depending on which state in which you live, this can be illegal. You cannot ask people for their medical records. That's part of their privacy. So nobody can ask for it or make it as if either you give us your medical record or you will be discriminated based on the fact that you decide not to give it to us. And that I think that in the UK, I think it's highly probable that it's illegal to do something like that. And but there is also the problem that if they have any kind of medical problems, I think I should review this because I really cannot remember, but I have this this memory that they are not allowed to contact the doctors that actually follow them in their normal life, but they are assigned a doctor by the production, and then based on what is said, they can move on from that. But I repeat, I'm not sure. I should read the contract again in order to actually see this. Kayo Kamada said, this season had Jada, Widow, and Heidi, who are amazing lip syncers. Yes, I hope the songs didn't really help them, but yes. Alethea said, the UK is really terrifying at the moment. That's just one step back into the homophobia of Section 28. I'm not following UK politics very much. I know that they have a Cocker Spaniel as Prime Minister, but other than that, not much more. Domingo Calderon said, exactly, we remember more the I'm That Bitch performance, but not the lip syncs. Oh well, I must give you a point there. Alethea said you should try twitch.tv. Yes, I might, but then again, it's already difficult enough managing all this thing with YouTube. So yes, I could take a look into it, but I think they also have kind of paid subscription on Twitch. I have to check their terms of service because at least the live streams have to be free, completely free. I don't want people to think that they have to pay something to Twitch in order to write or do so. I have to check what they do, basically. I have to check what they do. That is a possibility, but I don't think so. It's already difficult enough to bring an audience together here on YouTube. Moving even to somewhere else, I don't know. And I'm also lazy. That's the real excuse. I'm lazy. Kayo Kamada, the comments get lost forever. Krakuda is a crackhead. Finally, finally, you said it. Velho 765. Imagine if season 12 finale is a shot in YouTube live. Well, I don't think they will ever do it. Can you imagine? Alive? I can imagine someone from the crowd screaming, RuPaul, you're fracking! And they cannot cut it because it's live. They'll never do it. They'll never do it. They are too used about the fact that they have 100% control over everything. Even on the blurring of RuPaul's lace front wig. They have absolute control of everything. And when you are used to that kind of thing, you don't give it up. You just don't give it up. We'll never see anything live. Alethea says, I haven't watched Drag Race Thailand, but I heard that's a pretty good version of Drag Race that has cultural uniqueness. I have watched one episode. My partner watched the whole season. I liked what I saw. It's kind of a strange feeling, because they speak Thai and then they speak a little bit of English and then they go back and forth, but it's unique. That's I would like the brand to be carried out, but it's a huge investment. It's a huge investment. Sergio Bidola, I love how you said my name. It's so wrong. I understand what you're saying about Crystal. Her style is really unique. Well, even either you write in phonetic, and I can make an effort to understand it, to give it out completely. Yes, completely. My God, correctly, or it is how it is. It is how it is. Alethea said, not just that, but girls who weren't on RuPaul's Drag Race are fucked. Okay, we are stop pretending to be a G-rated kind of stream. Reshero Chiara, Drag Race Thailand is really interesting indeed. You should watch it. It's really another take on it, refreshing, but they are biased in their own way. Well, it's reality TV, so of course they're going to be biased. But I agree with you. For what I saw, it's really unique. It's really unique, and it is refreshing. I was hoping that Drag Race UK would be that refreshing, and it was not. It was not. Domingo Calderon agrees. Drag Race Thailand is so good and so created. I never guess who was going on because they were so perfect. They were real entertainment. You should keep Drag Race Thailand as for when the real bad time comes, and then you have it there. That's how I'm keeping it, because I know it's good. I've seen that it's good. Everybody else says that the whole season is so good. I even know who wins already, but I keep it there for when the dark time comes. Alethea says the BBC can give away money. Fake. They can't make money, but they have to reinvest her stuff. The BBC. Oh, as far as I know, it's an acronym. Okay, so the BBC can give away money as far as I know. They can't make money, but they have to reinvest. Yes, because it's public. So as far as I know, as being a public broadcast company, they cannot close the accounting at the end of the year with an earning. They have to reinvest. That I know. but they of course they pay for their stuff. There is no way that they are not paying for their stuff. So when they commissioned the season of Drag Race UK, of course they paid for it. And then, you know, then I don't know. I'm too tired. It's 1 a.m. Domingo Calderon says, drag and I lost the chat. Yes. Drag U.S. scene has become just predictable and simple. And just pretty. Well, I don't know what to say. I completely agree. Emily Butler says, you can win cash prizes on the BBC. They're just usually very low because it's public money. You just cannot advertise on the BBC, so no sponsors or adverts with the prices, cash or otherwise. Oh, that is a good point. That is a good point. That can explain the prices and so on. But then again, if you cannot advertise and if you cannot take any money and so on, do you really think that they couldn't find a way to give them something that wasn't just a pin? I mean, what if you are giving them something and it doesn't come from the sponsor, it comes from the budget? What if World of Wonder bought 3 lace front wig and said, okay, you are the winner of this challenge, I'm giving you this 3 lace front wigs. I mean, it's not thousands of pounds. So, you know, at least a minimum. To me, it looked like plausible deniability. You know, we can cut on the budget. Here's your pin. You won. Yeah. My God. Alethea, this transphobia is on a scary level. Oh, you're talking about the US. Well, you know, you don't need to vote. You didn't need to vote to Trump in order to be transphobic. You know, I don't like the word because it's overused, and it's mostly used by people who care more about appearing as they're doing the right thing rather than actually doing the right thing. But I mean, look at our own show. Look at our own little corner of the queer community. We cannot get a queen who had breast implants. We cannot get it for some reason. And you know, and a lot of people say, well, it's RuPaul, it's her show, she can do whatever she wants, and if she's stuck with the idea that drag is biological men dressing up as women, then she shall have biological men dressing up as women. But then you also have to consider one fact. It can be her show as much as you want, but it's the fans that actually bring in the money. So of course it's their show, but in a way it's also our show, because if we stop bringing in the money, then they don't have a show anymore. So we should have a saying, not all the saying, because it's, you know, we are not the ones who actually own the show, but we should have a saying. And from what I'm seeing, everybody is saying, bring trans women back on the show, even if they have had surgery. You know, and we had that tiny stunt with who was it, Sonique, when they did that Christmas special that basically was advertisement for RuPaul's Christmas album, in which we had Sonique. But that is not enough. That is simply not enough. It has to be more. You know, put your money where your mouth is. If I'm quoting the saying correctly. If it's really about love, if it's really about understanding, if it's really about being a community, then let's see some trans women in the show to begin with. Dixie, I'm so late again. Darn it. I was just watching a bunch of crap. The problem is when you're on the internet, you don't get to see the notification. Oh yeah, I don't understand what's going on with this damn notifications. You know, I actually have a graph on YouTube that tells me how many times, how many people they tried to send notifications to, and for some reason they couldn't send notifications. So you are subscribed and you don't get notifications. You have the notifications enabled from the bell, and the notification do not come. It's simply, you know, it is how it is. It is how it is. I'm actually destroyed today. I should have not come on stream. I think it showed how tired I am. But I'm trying at least to always come on stream in the same day at the same time. So at least even if you don't get the notifications, you can get used to the fact, oh yes, it's at this time, I'm interested, I'm coming online, even if I didn't get the notification. Or at least, you know, putting a message in the community tab, because a lot of people don't get notifications. I keep getting the same message from many different people. I think it's been a good half a dozen, which is a lot when you think about the fact that people who actually come on stream, it's about anywhere between 40 to 50 people. And when you have 6 people telling you, oh damn, I didn't get the notification, that is about, how much is that, 12%, something like that, by 5. Well, I cannot do math at this point, but you know, it's high. It's a high percentage. It's a lot. Alicia says it's 1 a.m. here. Thanks. It's 15 past 1 here as well. Rishero Chiara said RuPaul UK couldn't be that refreshing because RuPaul and Michelle were hosting. I completely agree. We need a little bit of a change. A little bit of a change. But you know, then again, it's business. If it works, don't fix it. Keep going with it. And I can understand it, you know. If you have a formula that works, why really change it? You are just risking ruining some good business that brings in good money. But you know, at least Drag Race UK was supposed to be something new, something they could have taken a chance with. You know, you keep the original formula for the normal Drag Race, and then you try something new for Drag Race UK. But it was a missed opportunity. It was really a missed opportunity. Dixie said, from the time did you set your notification, how long until you come on live? Does it say? It doesn't say it. It doesn't say it. When I prepare the stream, I have the options to send notifications for the stream, and the moment I create the stream, which means that I create the page that says coming live in X amount of time, then everybody that enable notification should receive notifications. And I believe also YouTube sends notifications like 3 minutes before I come live, or the moment I actually come live. But if you come after that, I don't know if you receive notifications in that case. For the channel that I am subscribed to, I do not receive notifications if they are already live. What I do see is the video in my suggestions. If I'm watching someone else's video, I usually get them in the suggestion. Dixie says, your volume is perfect now. Oh yes, it is perfect because I'm checking the settings every time. And you know what happened? I prepared the stream, I prepared everything, and then I checked the system settings for the volume. And you know what happened? That Skype brought it low again in the system setting, not in Skype settings, in the whole system setting. So I'm checking it every time because, you know, the worst that happens is that I speak for 30 minutes and nobody can hear. Kayo Kamada says the notification for the live stream comes 30 minutes because it goes live. There you go. Dixie, unfortunately, when I watch Drag Race Thailand, I'm unable to see the translation writing. It's in white, and for some reason, it doesn't show up. Well, that we are getting in a territory in which I don't know how much at liberty I am to actually explain it to you. But depending on where you're watching it, you should be able to load subtitles. You just have to find the subtitles and then load them, and I think I said too much already. Lady Baconator, Drag Race UK should have been run by people who were in UK's drag culture and have and had different hosts. I completely agree. I completely agree. I think that what I saw from Drag Race UK was basically nothing of the UK culture, of the UK drag culture. What I did saw was the stereotypical version of the way the US sees the UK's culture, which in a way it's interesting, but you know, it's called Drag Race UK. Dixie says they certainly could have found a way to give them something. Oh, you're talking about the prices on Drag Race UK. The queens have it tough in the UK. They don't even get tipped there because I believe the lowest paper money is 10. Well, they get tipped. They actually have a bucket. You know, if you watched videos of live shows from the UK, it's usually, I think, some club kids show, but you know, just if you see any kind of videos, if you watch When Fans Go Too Far, in the Trinity clip, you see that she has a bucket because she's in the UK. So they throw pounds in the bucket. So it's true that they don't have paper money, but they still get tipped. Who says RuPaul. Everybody say frack. You know, let me tell you something. For next episode, I'm preparing something about it. It's just a small thing, but you know, when I think about it, I laugh at myself. But then again, I'm an idiot. I'm secretly an idiot. So I laugh, and maybe it's the stupidest thing that ever came out. But I'm doing something with it, I promise. Dixie says the sad part was I actually started to get excited from them when they want a pin. Lady Baconator is 5 p.m. over here. You're in the US. You're in the US. 5 p.m. Damn. How many hours is it? 17, 7 hours, 8 hours. You are from Central US time, if I'm not mistaken. Good for you. Good for you. You know, I try to since a good half of the viewership here is from the US, then I start streaming at 11 p.m. Which means that it's basically after lunch in the US. But that's the best I can do. I cannot stream at 3 in the morning. God knows. I started at 11 and I'm completely burned out already. It's been 2 hours and a half, but you know what I mean. When you hear me starting to lose my voice, it's because I've reached. It's the moment for me to go to sleep. Dixie says, absolutely. The viewers have got to start taking some responsibility for what is going on, myself included, of course. I lost the point with that. Sorry, Dixie, I lost the point. Sergio Bidola. Widow Von Du killed almost all her lip syncs. I really liked what she did with the Shaka Khan song. She could have done. I think that Widow had actually even more to give. Or maybe it's just what I like to believe. Because I think she can do even more than that. I don't think we've seen the full potential of it. She just got very discouraged, even in the Shaka Khan lip sync. I think she was still very discouraged. I thought we got a glimpse of what she can do in the very first lip sync. And the other ones were, you know, kind of the best she could do with whatever she had. Rishero Kiara. I'm happy Drag Race Canada will not have RuPaul and Michelle hosting. In a way, I agree. It's refreshing. It's refreshing. You know, I'd like to see a little bit of another take on Drag Race. And I hope that Drag Race Canada will set a precedence for how to properly do a spin-off of Drag Race. Dixie says, remember that your health comes first. And if you don't feel streaming on this day is best for you, we certainly understand. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. When I start to get tired, I just leave. But you know, this is my proper social contact for the week, you know. the 2 hours on stream. So in a way, I'm actually enjoying it. So you feel that my voice is going down, my will is still there. Who says, Fractula, Shantae you stay. Ozone arena, sashay away. You know that I actually read that damn articles. There were like a dozen articles out there, and they basically found out something like, well, they never say they never say RuPaul is fracking, okay? Because the point is that her ranch is a private ranch, and if she is fracking, those contracts are private contracts. So unless she comes out and says, yes, I'm fracking, you cannot legally say she is fracking. Okay, quote, she is fracking, close quote. Because it's in the eyes of the law, it's still considered slander. Okay. What you can say is that RuPaul says this thing, that she sells stuff in her ranch to oil companies, and when you look at the maps of fracking wells, you can see that in the place where RuPaul legally owns a ranch, there seem to be fracking wells. How many fracking wells? Well, they considered about 10% of a ranch, and they found how many was there? 60 fracking wells in 10% of the land. I'm going by memory. I have to recheck these things. So if it's 10% of the land and you have found 60, then on average you should have found about 600. So, you know, if that's really what's happening, she's really digging the soil. My God. You know, I have no empathy. If I have to say it, if she is fracking, I have no empathy at all. It's not like you have to do it because you have to send your kids to college, or you have to do it because you're in debt, or you have to do it because you need to eat. If she is doing it, she's doing it for the money. This fucking money. You know, it's never enough. It's never enough. But you know, the poor lady is not paid enough on Drag Race. She doesn't probably get enough royalties from Drag Race, DragCon, the Queen's under contract, and blah, 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 blah. It's not enough. It's simply not enough. Please don't stream, Kiara. Please don't stream at 3 a.m. I wouldn't be able to watch. No, I wouldn't be able to stand up. So, you know. At some point, hopefully, I will have to sleep in order to wake up to go to work. So I wouldn't be able to stream at 3 a.m. So don't worry. 11 p.m. is the best that I can do, which is basically 2 to 5 p.m. in the U.S. That's the best I can do. I'm sorry for the people in Australia, which will get the stream about 5 in the morning. But, you know, you cannot please everyone when you have people in the whole planet. Lady Baconator, how different is Canada's drag culture compared to the one in the US? I have no idea. But I hope that the show is representative of that. Emily Butler, if you can't Emily, you are such a bitch. One moment, sorry. I still in the moment. Okay. Kiara said they don't have pageants. They are more performative there. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Said. Oh God. Oh God. Said, I'm glad you like my dumb jokes. And I'm an idiot. I'm deep inside, I'm an idiot. There is no hiding from that. Chiara, your memory is accurate. I don't know what you mean. I blanked for a minute. Alethea, my internet fucks off again. I'm sorry. I read my internet fracked off again. Okay, calm down. Oh God, calm down. Dixie, I'm pleased to know about the bucket being used. Shit. For queens in the UK. Okay. Oh my God. Stop writing fracking. Stop writing that. I'm on a roll. I won't be able to stop. We need to calm down a moment. Alethea said, well, 16 million on something isn't enough for a bitch who told herself she will never be poor again. Well, 16 million? Where did you get the number? Alethea says, I'm a rather poor than a rich cunt. I can relate to that. Dixie, 5 p.m. in Vancouver, Canada as well. Kaio Kamada, frack joke. You know what I mean. No, I think I got that. I think I'm over that. I think I'm over that. I hate you. Melanie Louise Connor, she already done fracked hearses. You see, I'm over it. Lady Baconator, I mean, Emily is right. How can you frack someone else? I'm not over it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Sorry. Oh God. Enough. It's been enough. Velho 765 says, you born naked and the rest is frack. You guys should tweet this joke to RuPaul. Because the best thing that you can do in such situation, when you do these kind of things, if she does it, and then she comes on screen doing this environmental challenges and so on, there is nothing that really destroys people who do this kind of things as much as making fun of them. Making fun of them completely destroys them. So you can have people around saying, oh, she's such a hypocrite, she does this, she does that, but that doesn't really get the point. What gets the point is when you make fun of them, when you laugh at them. When you laugh at them is when you really get to them. Because, if you have to have people telling you bullshit on TV, at least give me people who tell me believable bullshit. You know what I mean? Dixie says, honestly, seeing we're all at home anyway, I think you should make it easier for yourself and stream earlier. It doesn't seem fair, especially seeing you answer everyone's questions. No, it's okay. It doesn't matter, not worry. It's not like I'm doing anything tomorrow morning. Chiara said we broke it, guys. It's okay. I'm back. I'm back. Alethea says, Ein Einatmen, Ausatmen. Breathe in and out. Oh, it's okay. It's past. Sometimes you start laughing hysterically for no real reason, and you just cannot stop. It makes no sense. But she is the situation is surreal. The situation with RuPaul fracking and then doing also this environmental thing and nobody actually saying anything. I think the only queen that called her out was Tammy Brown. It's surreal. It's a surreal situation. It doesn't. You can look at this situation from many different perspectives. It is still surreal. Because it's fracking. It's I don't even know how to describe it. It's so much over the limit. It's like finding out that RuPaul has servants in her house, and all these servants are all immigrants. I would feel the same way if something like this came out. Underpaid immigrants, It's surreal. It's just surreal. Because, she's RuPaul. She owns the name to the show. So they make money on the queens. They make money selling the show. They make money from DragCon. They don't only make money from DragCon, they also make money from the booth that the queens have at DragCon because they have to pay to be there. So you have every other con in which guest gets paid. Then you have DragCon in which guests have to pay. And then you have merchandise. And then you have all these appearances that she does around. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but from my point of view, it's a ton of money already. Maybe I'm a little bit of a Spartan man myself, but it looks like a ton of money. It looks like she doesn't need it. But then again, you never know. You never know. Maybe she's secretly giving 99% of what she earns in charity, and she doesn't say it because she is well, whatever. You know what I mean. Lady Baconators. Viewers, I think that the host has just been broken. In a way, I'm back. Don't worry. I am back. Row TDQ. Who do you guys think will go to the top 4 and lip sync for the frack? You are awful. You're awful. I'm out of it. I'm out of it. It doesn't work anymore. I recovered. Fellow 765s, it's hilarious to hear someone laugh. To be honest, I'm laughing too. Well, the whole situation is hilarious. It's been ongoing. It never stops. It simply never stops. You know what makes it hilarious? That it kind of feels like something we are not even supposed to talk about it. That's what's making more hilarious than what it happens. Because when you think about it, it's actually something sad. But what makes it hilarious, it's that we're not supposed to talk about it. We should also, come online and say love and spread love and blah, blah, blah and bullshit, bullshit, bullshit and, and then we do whatever we want behind closed doors. That's how it feels. Jack Hermanson says, contestant during the judges' critique. When I was little, I fractured my arm. You bitch. My gosh, stop the fracking jokes. Guys, I am recovered. I cannot fall for it anymore. Maybe next time. Alethea, a frack is a frog, but it's good to have fracking good time. Yes, it's good. It's good. We want the whole fractasy. This has been a frack test in fun stream. Oh dear God. Tammy is bonkers. So entertaining as real. I love Tammy Brown. I love Tammy Brown. She is the first one who basically told RuPaul to fuck off during RuPaul's show. It was incredible. You remember it was a season 1 reunion And she came out and go with like, oh, I don't see you walking children in nature. And you know exactly how memorable it was. It was even season 1. So basically she was doing that knowing that she had no audience. She was saying it because she wanted to say it. It's memorable. I love Tammy. Kiara, she called out RuPaul from day one. Remember the reunion? Yes. Alethea says hypocritical is the word that comes to mind. Yes, but then again, when you look at business, what's not hypocritical? From my perspective, especially when it comes to media, it looks like being hypocritical is not a downside. It's a prerequisite in order to build a career in any kind of media. That's how it looks to me. If for some reason you cannot be hypocritical, you will never have a career in media, especially in big medias like television. That's how it looks. Kayo Kamada, Tammy Brown being an icon like we all know she is. She is, and she came out using the F word. Emily Butler, I don't see you walking children in nature. That's exactly the point. Dixie, you sound fine to me. I'm in social isolation alone with my lab, and I need someone to care for. Alone with my Labrador, the dog. Well, we have a mouse. She received a change in her habitat today. I had to change everything, which took like 3 hours because this thing is immense and it's only getting more complicated every day that goes on. So she was pretty excited because, mice are like this. Whenever you change anything in the place where they live, they are super curious. So they need to explore everything because they need to create a map of the environment, knowing where everything is. So she had a very active day, which explains why it's almost 2 a.m. and she is not awake yet. Being a nocturnal animal, she should have been awake already. Alethea says, it's normal to pay for booth space though. Oh, for the booth at DragCon. Is it? Oh, wait. wait. I made a confusion. Booth, yes, it's normal to pay. But I read somewhere, I cannot remember. This kind of things I should always remember. I should always be able to pull up the page or have it saved somewhere that they have to pay in order to speak. This is what I read. But then again, it's an unconfirmed source. It's not like somebody came out with a contract or a queen came out and said, oh, I had to pay this much in order to appear at DragCon. So I might have said bullshit. Let's not forget that. Alicia says, my mother was an artist and she had to pay for the space to show her work. Well, I don't know about artists, but basically in DragCon they pay for the space in which they sell their merchandise, including selfies with the queens. Dixie, I wanted to make a point on this stream that I don't believe that Jeff Goldblum was crying for Jackie. A lip sync, in my opinion, was not moving at all. I believe she was crying for the widow. We never know. It's just too edited. What I can tell you is that I preferred Widow's lip sync. I'm sorry. At the very best, I can tell you that they should have saved them both because they did both a better job. But Widow won, in my opinion. But considering her headed, I'm happy that she went home. Because you never know which kind of edit would have turned out if she actually stayed longer. And for what I've seen, I don't want to see any more of that. Kayo Kamada, you both call me loser, and I don't see you out there working children in nature. Excuse your mouth. Alethea said, frack is German for frock, smock. So we need a German queen who has a frack. I'm not connecting anymore. I'm sorry. Alethea, I love how honest Willem is. Yeah, at times. At times. He used to be more honest. I've seen. I don't heavily follow social media, so I should be the last one to talk. But what I've seen is I've seen her say some good old bullshit on social media, just because it seemingly looked like it was the right move for her career. So I think Willem started up as a very real queen, very in your face, but then eventually she built a complete career after season 4, a proper drag career, which is paying her bills. And so she inevitably came to the how is it called? Impacts? No, I don't think that's the word. It's when you basically reach a situation in which you are forced to choose the less of two evils. So maybe she wants to be real, but she cannot really be because it will hurt her career. But then again, her career is built on being real. So you see, it's kind of a difficult situation. And I don't really, well, yes, I mean, it's 2 a.m. We can talk about it. It was the whole Todrick situation and Willem basically going on saying, no, everything is fine, everything is fine. And I don't know if everything is fine, but what I can tell you is if it looks like shit and it smells like shit, then it's probably shit. And this shit has been following Todrick for 10 years. Every year, somebody else come out saying, this happened to me. I wasn't paid for this. We did, we got the money. They did it with kids. It was this, they were supposed to make a show about Peter Pan, I believe, whatever, and then they didn't give the money back. And then a couple of years after, somebody else came out and say they weren't paid, and somebody else come out and they were not paid. And it's been 10 years with this Todrick thing that somebody comes out and say I wasn't paid. So, you know, I am open to listen, I am open to understand, I am open to basically almost excuse everybody once the evidence is presented. But one thing that we can say for sure is that when you have so many confirmations time after time that come out, it means that there is something going on. Then we can discuss about what is that something. But there is no question that there is something going on. And then Todrick came live. This was, I read it on Reddit. It came live on Instagram the day before Jake was going to make a video about him not paying people again. And I didn't watch this video, but I read the TLDR wrote by somebody else who basically said that Todrick's excuse for not paying his dancers was that if he had to pay the dancers, he couldn't afford making the video. And that was his excuse. And my response to that is simply, well, then don't fucking make the video. You don't see me going around buying real estate if I cannot afford it. You know, none of us do things if we cannot not afford to do those kind of things. So if you cannot pay your dancers, then don't make your video. Or at least if you cannot pay your dancer, then give them everything that you get from the advertisement of the video once you publish it on YouTube. How about that? You know, the thing of if I didn't pay my dancers, I couldn't make the video. It's not an excuse. You know what it is? It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And a man in his 40s who has the resources to actually at least pay people a minimum. It's awful to me. It's simply awful to me. And you know, and Willem basically decided not to give her opinion. But then again, Todrick made a video about the situation we are in right now, and what do you see in the video, Willem? So, you know, the people who act in a virtuous way today are not guaranteed to continue to do that in the future. People change, circumstances change. What works today might not work tomorrow. So, Dixie, I'm curious to know what you do for a living, but makes you essential. What you do for a living, but makes you essential. I think I have an idea, but I won't say it. I think I mentioned that. Please, let's not talk about that. I would like to keep my private persona as private as possible because of a pure sense of privacy. You know, it's a huge step for me to actually come online and talk to you with my voice. It's already a huge step. So we actually have to decide about fake names. We don't have fake names. Me and my partner, we don't have fake names yet. So we'll have to decide on that. Roy TDQ. I think that RuPaul may be enamored with the idea of being with someone who fracks because it channels that Dallas fantasy. Well, that's an important thing that you said. You know, apart from the joke, we don't know who started that. Did she marry this guy? I mean, did she? Was she with this guy when who bought the ranch? Did her husband buy the ranch and started fracking? If they fracks, did it happen before? These are things, you know, we laugh about it, but these are things that are very real. Because imagine if this guy had his ranch already, it was his ranch, and this fracking thing has been going on for generations already, and then he meets RuPaul and they become a couple, and she has nothing to do with it. It's still bad publicity, but you know, it looks better at least. Sam, it was crazy that RuPaul cussed at Tammy, and all she had to say was "excuse your mouth" to get her point across and shut him up. Yes, yes. I mean, we've seen RuPaul ridiculing himself a lot lately. A lot. I remember that reunion with the Vixen in which she was stirring the pot and stirring the pot and stirring the pot. It's not like you cannot stir the pot. It's entertaining, but you cannot stir the pot with one hand and at the same time say with your mouth that it's all about love. You cannot simply do the two things together. It's not convincing anymore. You know, you can either do one or you do the other. That's how it is. Sergio says, I have to go, but thank you for your hard work. Good night. Thank you for coming. See you next time, hopefully. Emily Butler. Alaska and Willem's podcast is pretty good for getting some other information about the show, but they're both marketing queens. Well, I know that they have this show called Race Chasers, I think it's called. I watched it's a podcast. I listened to a couple of episodes, but then again, at some point, I get lost. You know, I get lost. I have an attention problem when it comes to queens not making a clear point from the beginning to the end. You know, like today we're going to be discussing about this, so we're going to talk about this aspect, this aspect, this aspect, and then it goes on. It's more like they're sitting there and having a conversation, which is ideal if you want to listen to something while doing something else. I cannot really do that. I cannot do that. Chiara said Todrick was the biggest crack for me. I'm happy he wasn't on Drag Race this season. Well, with Todrick I don't know. I made this kind of association with him where, you know, I can see that he is a talented man because it's undeniable. But then again, this connections that comes with it makes it really sour for me, you know. And every time he comes on Drag Race, he always looks like he couldn't care less. You know, when I see Todrick on Drag Race, the first thing that comes to my mind is it's all about me. It's about me. It's about me. It's about me. And it's not entertaining. Kaya Kamada, I love fake fantasy names. We have to think about them. So next time you want to cuss at us, at least you have a name to cuss to. Emily Butler, I don't work for free, and that's not the tea hunty. Yeah, that's ironic, isn't it? That's really ironic. That's why I actually had a video on that. I had to remove it because of a copyright claim, but it's still on BitChute. I made a little bit of a parody of that. Alethea, like as a way to offer stuff to hobbyists, not for professional stuff. People who work should be paid, but I'm okay with offering stuff to people, but with a share of the profit. Yes, I know what you're talking about, and I understand it, and excuse me if I cut you there, but the point is, you are a private person. You don't have 1 million followers. You didn't participate in projects with people who have earned hundreds of millions of dollars. Do you see the difference? Okay, I can get the need for being more on the collaborative side when you are at this level. You know, you cannot really pay anyone, so you are more like, okay, let's collaborate and then we split the profits. If we get any profits, that makes sense. But a person at his level, not only he shouldn't be doing this kind of shit, he should also work as an example to change the current situation. If it's really real that not paying people in that industry is normal, then somebody needs to start doing something in order to change the situation. You know, and that is a somebody to whom I would give my money. Okay? So no, I'm not going to buy Todrick's album. If I'm going to buy an album, I'm going to buy an album from someone who actually pays his people. Or at least that I know that doesn't do this kind of shit. So vote with your wallet. That is what I mean. Alethea said fracking is recent stuff. I would do something for free as a hobby thing. Oh yes, we read this. Beatrice Boholotti. RuPaul is with this man for more than 20 years and is from Australia, so I don't think this fracking started before he met RuPaul. Oh shit. Oh shit. Well, you know, I always have this thing. My first reaction is to give the benefit of the doubt. That's the problem. And I cannot not do that. So yeah, you know, then it doesn't look good. It's not to look good. Who said Tatiana as Britney? I got lost. Yes, me too. I mean, I'm not connecting anymore. It's almost cigarette and bad time. Dixie. Now that's a reach, my friend, thinking that RuPaul is using the money for donations. Of course, I know you don't really think that. Oh, of course, I don't really think that. If possible, you know, she's doing the opposite. If possible, I don't know. Alethea, I can give the right to monetize images, but nobody could own the likeness. Unless you sell it. Because apparently in the U.S. you can sell your likeness. You can sign it away. At least, for what we know, for a limited, not in general, but for a limited purpose. For a specific purpose, you can sell your likeness. For a project, for example. If you look at the contract, they always say for the duration of the project. And then project has its own definition, which is like 5 sentences, only for defining the meaning of project. Alethea, Mr. Invisible and Mr. Invisible. Yeah, kind of, yes. That's us. Dixie, honestly, I haven't heard laughter like that in a very long time. I haven't felt it either. It was an absolute joy and an absolute pleasure listening to pure, genuine laughter. Well, it's a strange thing. It looks like today people don't really, when I see the fake laugh on Drag Race, I'm like, how can people buy into this? Don't you know what laughing is? I get it, it's part of the show, it's part of the meta of it, blah blah blah, but every once in a while it would be nice if they they don't this fakeness, this whatever. Kayo Kamada, this stream is getting 3 hours mark. Yes, nobody's going to watch it. You know what's going to happen? That I leave it there for a couple of days and people go like, oh my god, 3 hours. This guy is crazy. This guy is crazy. Nobody's going to watch it. But that's not the point. The point is that it's there if people want to watch part of it later. Right now, it's just for us staying here, having a chat, having our social time. Dixie says, Tammy would absolutely love this stream. I hope one day she has a chance to see it. I know she would join us. Kiara said, because we're having fun. Well, you need it, you need it. It's this thing is at least better than being in a talking on Reddit, for example. At least we have some sort of proper interaction, and you don't have people really trolling each other. We're just sitting here having our time, and that's it. That's good. It's good enough. It could be worse. Alethea said, I think that's also an U.S.A. problem. Workers' rights aren't en vogue there. Yes, it's from what I see, it's really an awful situation. An awful situation. Thinking that you could be fired without proper reason, to me it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Where I come from, we have the opposite problem. You want to fire someone and you cannot fire them. You simply cannot fire them because you're lacking just a thing called just cause. And if you don't have that, you cannot fire someone unless you have a kind of contract that as a definite amount of time. You're hired for 6 months. You're hired for a project. You're hired for 1 year. But if you have this long-term contracts who don't have a definite time, a definite amount of time, it's really difficult to fire someone who is doing his job. It's difficult. And that's how it should be. Alethea, and that is communism. LOL. Yes, they always hide every time. From what I see from Europe, every time they try to bring in the discourse in terms of having more of a social state, they point a finger and say communism, and everybody runs scared because they have this in their culture. This is something that I struggle to grasp, but they have this in their culture. So it is how it is. Dixie said, I remember that like it was yesterday. In those days, I was offended that someone talked to RuPaul like that, believe it or not. Now I have the uttermost respect for Tammy. Yeah, you have to you have to understand that RuPaul is doing a job. And the problem is that the kind of job that you're doing, you also have to have the ability to evolve over time. RuPaul is too old to have that kind of evolution. So what basically happens is that you see RuPaul saying all the time, it's about love, it's about this, it's about that, and the message gets old because it's not evolving. And after 10 years of this and everything that happens in between, you start questioning and thinking, okay, then this is all on face value. The reality is bullshit behind it. And that's when you get respect for Tammy, because she was the first one who said, you know what, this is bullshit. Don't bullshit me. Don't bullshit me. Talk with your mouth, That's really important. Kayo Kamada said Temi and her energy would explode the chat. Yes. Explode the chat, delete the channel, lose the stream, everything. Lady Baconator, how is the boy toy doing? Oh, you mean my... you mean my boyfriend? He's not a boy toy. At all. At all. Alethea said, yes, the USA is a pretty horrible place from the outside. I'm so proud about it. One change unless this chingoism and fetishism of authority while pretending to be free. Oh wait, I'm losing it. Let me see if I see what I mean. From the outside, it doesn't look as good as from the inside. But the problem is that the US, they have this cultural thing of saying, like, we are proud to be American, we are proud to be the land of the free, and blah, blah, blah. And then you start realizing that when you contextualize it in the modern world, you start thinking, okay, you are proud to be free, but free to do what? Free to do whatever your law allows you to do. So I am as much free as you are, because I am free to do whatever my law allows me to do. So, it looks strange from the outside. It would kind of look strange seeing this blind patriotism saying, oh, we are the biggest, the better state in the world. You are a dominating power. There is no doubt about that. But the best, I don't know. I can think of many point of view where, for things that are important to me, like education, healthcare, and pension for the elderly, the very, very basic thing, US is really, really at the bottom of the barrel. For a lot of other things, they are great. I mean, when you think about developing businesses, they are really on the top of the world. But those kind of things are things that you start doing when you're living, but you survive before you start living. And it looks like they don't really have put down the means for, surviving. Alethea said, I love long streams. Everybody likes them long, but what nobody told you, it's not about length. Dixie, I saw your mouse and she's beautiful. When my husband was still with me, he was a fan. We had one female mouse that overnight became 12. We kept them all. They are loving. Yes, they are very peculiar animals. I would have never guessed that I would choose mice as companions. But once you got to know them, you realize that they are, in a way, almost as smart as dogs. That's how smart they are. And they're not like rats are even worse in a way, because they even answer to their names. They understand commands. They don't just. It looks like they understand verbal meaning of certain words, and also the context in which those words are spoken, like dogs. So But what's also good with mice is that I can give them ton of space, and to me, as living space, it's not that much at all. But for mice, it could be a mansion, a huge mansion, and it's better than getting a big dog and then not having really space in the house. Said, I listen to your streams and play games on my other phones. So 3 hours is a good chunk of time. I know. It's time. Alethea, I am so poor I don't have a wallet to vote. Well, I can understand you. It's hard times. Kiara said, did you watch the online DragCon? Because I did yesterday and I have things to say. Oh my god. Oh my god. All these online things, they starting to look so much like a rage. I understand that the girls have to do, they are out of a job. So they have to make money to survive. I completely understand that. From some queens, I don't really understand it because they have had so much business that they should be able to sustain themselves for a good half a dozen years without work. So, but from other queens, I completely understand it. I did see a lip sync from Jade Sotomayor, and she didn't really know the words to the lip sync, which broke my heart because I really loved her from season 1. And I haven't seen anything else from online DragCon. This things like put together at the last minute. I think they could have done better. Honestly, I'm not criticizing them for needing the money for those who really need it, but it could have been done better, especially if it's called DragCon, online DragCon, so that there is World of Wonder behind it. I was expecting more. Kayo Kamada said, Digital DragCon was a bit boring to me. I enjoyed Blue's performance. Well, I have to watch it. I didn't watch it. I really see snippets. Dixie, I agree that it was the best that they sent her home because they would only made her look worse, and I couldn't stand to have seen any more of what I was going. So I think I lost the meaning of that comment. Beautiful. Alethea, Tammy is irreverent. A man toy? Kayo Kamada, Jackie's voice. Because I'm a boy toy, baby. Alethea, I lost it too. Great. You're in good company. Emily Butler, I find your long streams are really good to listen, like a podcast if I miss them. Glad they're on a playlist. You're welcome. Kiara, U.S.A. is a country of individuals more than an inclusive country. It's a country of self-made men, singular personalities, celebrities. That's why no group never won contests like AGT. I don't know. Kayo Kamada, I love rodents. Yeah, this is the level in which I am after 3 hours of streams. I love rodents. I love rodents too. Perfect. I had many mice and now a guinea pig. Well, my boyfriend is obsessed with guinea pigs. He found this channel. It's a channel made for kids. When there is this song called Guinea Pig Olympics, and he plays it. He has been playing that like 5 or 6 times a day, every day for the last couple of months. And it's really funny, but it got in my hand, and I kept telling him, well, guinea pigs in a way they are kind of stupid. They're like hamsters. They're not like mice. They don't even have a strong sense of gravity like mice. But is obsessed with them. The problem is that we couldn't take them. They would destroy the habitat that we have for mice, if when we don't have mice anymore. Alethea, I know the length thing. There is only limited storage space there. Dixie, absolutely. Share the profits among the people that contributes to the video. Oh, you're talking about yes, what we were talking about before, Todrick. Alethea, they die so fast. I had rats and they died after 3.5 years. You are lucky. The average age for a mouse in the wild is 4 to 6 months. And in captivity is about 2 years if you're really lucky. Right now, Marble is 1.5 years old. So, my boyfriend saw her today that she had kind of a rough fur. And I was reminding him, well, she is like 60 in my years. So, of course, her fur is not luscious as it used to be. Alethea, my cats are 10 now. I don't want to think about their time. You know what? A couple weeks ago, my sister's dog turned 18, which is incredible. She has been the last survivor. We actually had her mother when we were kids. And then she had a litter, and my sister kept 3 of the 6 puppies. And this one is the last survivor. She's 18 years old. It's incredible, but then again, she takes such incredible care of them. She spends a ton of money. You have no idea the amount of money you have to spend on dogs if you really want to ensure that they are well taken care of. Like, she goes to the vet every 6 months to do the echo, how is it called? Echography. To keep the heart under control, to keep the liver under control. She spends a ton of money. But if you can, if you can afford it and take good care of your animals, you can prolong their life as much as possible. And, at the very end, at least say, I did the best that I could. Dixie, I respect your request to remain private. Yeah, you have a lot of people out there who basically look forward to the idea of having a personality, getting recognized, getting praise, and so on and so on. And I understand the appealing of it, but it's just something that doesn't appeal to me. I like to have my space in a way, kind of in compartments. This channel is part of our internet life when it relates to the creativity that's inspired by the show. That's what it is. And out of this, there is our private life that is online, if anything, because I don't have anything private of me online, but my boyfriend does. And then our private real life. And I like to keep things separated, because every time they mix, you always get problems, one way or the other. You try to have a good time, do your things, and then things come in a way or the other, they come back and create problems. And, we have the possibility of making compartments. Let's use it. Kiara said, so little girls did actually do a show. It was almost like an afterthought. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Kaio Kamada, most rodents die fast. Yes. I'm surprised to hear that rats went on for 3.5 years. I'm really surprised, because the average age is 2 years, 2.5 years, best case scenario. But it depends on the not on the race. How is it called? On the species. Because depending on the kind of species that you have, you can have huge variability. Dixie, please decide on a fake name. It would be very nice to have some way to call you. I thought I had deleted that comment about what you did for a living. I apologized. I didn't even see it. But, if you want to guess, you can guess. It's no big deal. Alethea, a uncle had a cat who died at 23 years old. That was ancient. Yes, but I heard of cats going over 20 years. That is something that I heard, and something that I actually saw when I was a kid. My parents had friends with a 21-year-old cat. I was really small. I was like 7 years old. I remember that because I wanted to pet the cat as if it was my dog. And so, of course, the cat didn't like it, and she scratched me. So now I remember how old she was. Dixie said, Alethea, rats die very young, but they age very rapidly. Something I noticed as well is that they are terrible for cysts and the use of their limbs. I had 12 at one time, and it was very hard. Marble initially had 2 sisters. When we got her, when we lost Bianca and Penny, we got this 3 mice. It was Marble, Stevie, and Cookie. And Stevie developed a tumor like after 1 month, 1.5 months, and the vet was against surgery. In her best opinion, there was really no point. It was just suffering. So we basically waited, give her the time that she had, but she passed away like really quickly. With mice, you have huge genetic variability, but they're very susceptible to this kind of things. So she died basically almost immediately. We didn't even have her for 2 months, and she was gone. And the other little sister, Cookie, she developed a cyst under her neck. She had an abscess. I don't know how she could have got it, because they were going really well between Cookie and Marble. But she developed this abscess, who turned into a cyst, and she got surgery, but she didn't recover for the surgery. We actually consulted another vet after she got surgery, and she told us that in his best opinion it was better not to completely close the wound, to give a way of the infection to actually get out after she got surgery, because the problem is that the infection came back, and when it came back with also an open wound. So it was terrible. It lasted for like 2 months, but what can you do? I mean, you sign for this kind of things. What I'm happy about, and this is something that I tell for all of you, if you get an animal, be sure to have some money saved on the side for when this kind of things happens, because the last thing that you want to have is to say, oh, I have this animal that has a problem, but I don't have the money to solve it. That is the guilt. When I look back at the animals that I lost, I think I never go look back with regret. You had the time that you had. It was good that at least you had that time, and you did everything you could, and in your conscience that you did everything you could. So if you get a pet, be sure that you can take care of them. Chiara said, my cat is literally ruining me. He's a fighter and has a poor immune defenses, but I can watch him suffer and do nothing because I don't have money. He's only 5. Well, that goes with the point, you really need a cat. Is even more expensive than a mouse. I mean, we spent on Cookie, we spent the equivalent of $500-600, and it was one tiny mouse. So cat is even more expensive, because depending on where you have to go to a vet, they probably charge you more because a cat is bigger. And there are also, depending on where you live, there are also laws in place that try to facilitate access to medical care for smaller animals, so you actually pay less when you have a very small animals, but it also means that you pay more when you have a bigger animal and a more common animal like a cat. Alethea said the cat was 26 or something. Yeah, that ancient cat was quite grumpy. Chiara, I meant that the online DragCon was as if they had asked the queen from one day to another if they were interested to do it, and they had to quickly put something together. Yes, that's how it looked. That's how it looked to me for what I've seen from that one video. Chiara said, I always pay my cat bills before mine. I understand the feeling. There are some things that I should have done, and I keep postponing them because you just think, there are other more important things, and you just don't do them. So we'll see. It's also, we live in the time that we live, so it's not like it's raining money, and let's keep it at that. Alethea, My cat has feline herpes because they were fined during a spay action of the local cat protection society. Fuck. Well, herpes it's for life. Yeah, well, you know it. That's a lot to take care of. Yeah. Sorry, I was reading the comments, but I wasn't reading it out loud. I'll read the comment. So cats that live on local cemetery, and the society puts up cages every half a year to check the cats, neuter the new ones, and ship others to check the numbers. Yes. It's basically you're adopting cats from the street, which is always a gamble. It's always a gamble. I mean, it's humane, but it's a gamble, especially if you don't have money to spare. When they get this kind of disease, they also have I had a friend whose cat had the feline HIV, and it was a ton of money. Dixie, the laughing that RuPaul does makes him sound like he has forgotten his medication. Does editing not tell him what he sounds like? Well, he always did that kind of laugh. Sorry. So, in a way, she's just used to do that. I don't think she's even able to laugh like everybody else. That's just how it is. Dixie, I'll watch it again, even if I don't click it so that you get credit. What do you mean by that? I don't watch it again? Kiara, my cat was a present, by the way. Nobody wanted him because it was the weakest of the litter. Oh, baby. Kayo Kamada, Manila had a whole 5-minute skit and commercial to her merch with her husband. It looked like it took much longer than a day to produce and edit. Okay, so we actually had some kind of quality to it, which is a good thing. Kiara said, take him. He had a bad flea infestation and was not correctly fed. Alethea, they took a year to develop trust. Yeah, I know. When you get animal either from a shelter or from the street, it's always a huge gamble. Of course, it's the right thing to do. You should never pay, you basically have these breeding places where they breed different breeds of cats and dogs and so on. So if you can save an animal from the street or from a shelter, that's a great choice. My parents actually had a cat which my sister found in the street. She was like 3 or 4 days old. We actually had to feed her with the syringe. She was seemingly abandoned by the mother, and so my parents ended up with the cat. It was an incredible cat. She, of course, coming from the street, she had some permanent damage. She has conjunctivitis in the eyes, and it was a recurrent problem for her whole life. But she was an incredible cat. She grew up with the dogs, so she was basically a dog. She was a cat scared of going outside. She was always cuddling, never scratching. She would come when you called her by name. And when she passed, it was actually the first time I've ever saw my father cry. It was heartbreaking in a way. Okay. Kiara said, sorry, my comment was split enough. Don't worry, because I'm already in another world. I'm completely gone at this point. Okay, guys, we went up for I don't know how long. It's been so long. I'm completely destroyed, but you know very well that I will have time for a cigarette before going to sleep. So I'll see you back next week on Sunday as usual. If I can make to publish the new video this week, you'll have it this week. Otherwise, it's going to be next week. So thanks for sticking with me. See you next time. Stay safe. Don't get overboard with adopting animals. Enjoy the ones that you have. And me and Marble will see you next week. Have a nice one. Good night.